IHSAA Baseball State Finals. Coverage begins Friday night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
What in the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, John Boy.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway. So anybody who wants to walk, do it now.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.
And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard, a pick six for the Maniac. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Yes, sir.
Oh, the Dickens! Double time!
Miles Turner. Yeah.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
What's good on a Wednesday? Hopefully how you treat the substitute teacher is good on a Wednesday. Now, I just had something that stopped me in my tracks. Greg Rakestraw, by the way. Sound like JMV if you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, wherever we are sending the video signal to. Clearly, I don't look like JMV, but I've now gone 4 days without soda. So another 4 years of that, and I'm sure I'll catch up with him. We'll meet in the middle at some place from a frame perspective. But what caught me off guard is I looked at the board, and again, you get kind of this narrow view of the studio where you see me. Eddie, are we on I'll use the television term here. Are we on a one-shot or a two-shot right now? Are you all, just me? So you don't do like Mark Dykton and commandeer your own screen time as the producer of the show. The camera is solely on me. So you see like about, let's see, I'm about a 4-foot radius. Let's not lie about this. You see about a 6-foot radius here as I'm making visual references. Though you listen on the radio going, hey, dummy, we can't see you. I know. But for those of you watching on Twitter, YouTube, whatever, you can see me. And for that, I'm sorry. You can't see this big white board that is just off. Well, it's not just off camera. It's to my left. It's as I look over Eddie Garrison's right shoulder. Are we carrying, we as in the Fan, are we carrying the Stanley Cup Finals on the Fan tonight?
Indeed we are.
Man, I know the last dope who put hockey on this station. And he's the guy talking to the microphone right now. How about that? Now, I'll say that. Dude, I like barely pay attention anymore. So I knew that the Avs and the Lightning were playing in game one tonight. And trust me, I could give you like chapter and verse on the 1996 Avalanche that beat the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup final. Singular, not finals, final. I remember the Ray Bourque, Patrick Waugh, Claude Lemieux, the hated, heated, turn somebody's face into a jigsaw puzzle days between the Avalanche and the Red Wings. I don't exactly keep up with the sport very much right now. So I know the Avalanche are good. I literally could not tell you a single player that plays for the team. I have moved on from my hockey days. Many moons ago, not that far away building-wise, because it was literally in the building next to this one on Monument Circle, I remember basically saying, yep, I'm going to stop watching the NBA because I've got the center ice package. That's good enough for me. That was probably about 18, 19 years ago. I've kind of moved away from both sports, to be honest with you. But as I look and get ready to walk you through whom the guest would be on the program today, the only thing on the board above it is that Lightning and Avalanche game number 1 tonight on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. That's awesome. Because hockey on the radio is awesome. Hockey on television. Hockey's good. I literally don't have time. I'm like, okay, I follow like 9 sports. I have to remind my children at some point they look like me occasionally. And remind my wife that I've been married to her for like 23 years occasionally. So I'm like, I need to give up some sports. But there might be some hockey viewing in the Rakestraw household tonight because it is game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I do know this. The Lightning are really damn good. That much I know. And they're about to go for a three-peat. And there have been all of 3 franchises in the history of the National Hockey League that have done that. The Maple Leafs, which tell you that was a long time ago, because I'm pretty sure their last championship was 1967. The Canadiens, because for a while the Canadiens won every championship, and that period extended well into the 1970s. That period stopped when the New York Islanders won 4 consecutive Stanley Cup championships between 1980 and 1983. So I know that that group is the last team to do it. And so the Lightning are on the precipice of doing that, even though those that would bet on anything that ever exists talk enough about the fact that the Avalanche are the favorite in the series. So that's tonight at 7:30. You're stuck with me a good chunk of the time between now and then until 6, instant replay at 6. I'm used to being on the show, and occasionally, like my guest appearances make instant replay. It was kind of strange to be in my car last night and driving home, and then I hear a conversation between me and Mark Lowry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, how about that, eh? I even dropped an A because I was talking Stanley Cup Finals. How about that? All right, so here is the guest list on the program today, and 2 of these topics were things that we teased up yesterday. One of them, the content factory, landed right into our lap, and I'll get to that coming up in a matter of moments. Scott Agnes will talk Pacers draft workouts. They brought in 6 players today. This was probably for the group that you would think is on the board at 31 or towards the end of the second round. But a very familiar name was brought in today, not for playing for the Indiana Pacers, but playing against the Indiana Pacers. Scottie Pippen Jr. was one of the 6 players that the Pacers worked out today. We are now T-minus 8 days away from the NBA draft next Thursday night. We'll talk to Scott about what it's looking like at 6, just how active could Kevin Pritchard be, and again, what are the chances that Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon, Buddy Hield, office furniture, if it's not stapled down to the floor, about all those things potentially moving at some point in time over the course of the next 8 days. Then we will have 2 guests talking about tomorrow's U.S. Open. And again, I think the U.S. Open, once the actual tournament starts, then we'll care about what's going on at the U.S. Open. But everything leading up to it this week, certainly what was the dominant topic of the conversation on the show yesterday, and I've now got 2 guys that have, covered the sport and know 9,000% more about golf than I do. Bob Herrig of ESPN.com, Will Haskett of SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio, ESPN Plus coverage of the PGA Tour, a variety of things, North Central grad, and outstanding golfer at the Fort. By the way, HerrigSI.com. Sorry about that, Eddie. Thank you for correcting me. It's better that I make that mistake now than like, hey, ESPN.com. No, sorry, I work for Sports Illustrated. My bad. Sorry about that. Bob knows golf. Talk to him at 4. Will knows golf. We'll talk to him at 5. And again, we'll talk LIV Tour, Greg Norman, Phil Mickelson, and kind of where it goes from here. And then, we'll talk some U.S. Open with those guys as well. A U.S. Open without Tiger Woods. So if you're wondering, the conversation has been, will Tiger make the cut? More so than will Tiger contend for a championship? You're not going to have that conversation this time around. He's not playing. Trust me, there's plenty else to talk about without having the Tiger Woods conversation coming up over the course of the weekend. Now, the other person that will be joining us, agreeing to join the program about 25 minutes ago, that is because developments warranted them for him to join us, and that is kind of our jumping point on the program today. JJ Stankovitz of Colts.com. He's in his second year of covering the team for Colts.com. He'll be joining us. And the reason we are having JJ on is the fact that the Colts have had a starter from last year and an expected starter from this season announces retirement. And that would be Khari Willis. And again, his absence was notable last week at the minicamp. And really, not very much. He was due to have his second contract kick in next year. He potentially was going to be a free agent. Not potentially, I think he likely was going to be a free agent next year. And the Colts potentially had drafted his replacement in terms of Nick Cross, whom they traded back into the 3rd round to get him on day number 2 of the draft just about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And so when Khari wasn't there last week, we all kind of go, I don't think he's in a position where he's been a solid player. I don't think he's holding out for a new contract or to get an extension signed already. Perhaps something is up. And again, it is going to become more and more prevalent of guys saying, even if they've got a lot of mileage left in the tank, saying, you know what, I'm good, or I'm going to go do something else. Quarterbacks seeming they're going to play for 20 years, in other cases longer. Guys that tend to get hit a whole lot more are saying, you know what, I'll play for one contract. Maybe I'll stick around for two. I'll be good with my money. I'm going to go do something else. I don't think this is financial for Khari Willis, because he would have made good money, great money as somebody in their 20s. Life-changing money, yes. Not generational wealth-changing money is what he would have made as a third or fourth round pick. I think it was a fourth round pick, I believe, without looking it up from a bio standpoint in 2019. No, he is stepping away because of a higher calling. So allow me to read you his statement, then I will read Frank Reich's statement on the subject. From Khari Willis. I'd first like to thank the Indianapolis Colts organization for granting me the opportunity to compete in the National Football League the past 3 years. I've built lifelong relationships with numerous teammates, coaches, and support staff that have impacted me greatly. The lessons that I've learned in this phase of my life will be valuable for me in my next chapter. With much prayer and deliberation, I've elected to officially retire from the National Football League as I endeavor to devote the remainder of my life to further the advancement of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I thank all of my family, friends, and those who have supported me on this journey thus far, and look forward to your continued support throughout the next phase of my life. I am both humbled and excited to pursue the holy call that God has for my life, which brings me much joy and purpose. Thank you for all your support over the years. God bless Khari Willis. Makes it nice and simple. Hey, this is not where my attention is. I believe in a higher power. I believe in a higher calling, and I believe that that's what my heart and my mind and the Spirit is driving me to do. So literally what you said, Khari, I'll say back to you. God bless you, because it takes a lot to be able to walk away when you know you're good enough to be a starter in the National Football League, when you know the money that goes along with playing in the National Football League, and knowing, I'm not saying he was going to get a big-time free agent contract, but I would say it's safe to assume that if Khari Willis was going to play a fifth year in the National Football League, he was going to be doing so for at least seven figures. And it's difficult to walk away from that. But if it's not difficult to walk away from that, then you know you absolutely made the right decision. Now, here's what Frank Reich has to say, and clearly a man that shares a similar spiritual path with Khari, because in between his playing career, his coaching career, and being a head coach, there was some pretty deep religious study that Frank Reich had gone through in his life in case he was going to go that direction and kind of get out of the world of football. We're thankful and appreciative of Khari's contributions to the Colts, both on and off the field, over the last 3 seasons. Khari's character, leadership, and professionalism will be missed in our locker room, as will his play on Sundays. I admire and respect his decision to transition to the next stage of his life and ministry, and my prayers will always be with him. So there you go. What Frank Reich had to say on the subject, what Khari Willis had to say on the subject. And we'll talk about this with JJ, but I will, as I am wont to do as a solo flyer on this show, ask a question and then try to give you an answer at the same time, because, well, frankly, that's the way that my mind operates when I'm doing a monologue here for 15, 20, 25 minutes off the top of the show. You have to think that there had been some conversation that had taken place between Khari and the team, which is part of the reason why Nick Cross was drafted where he was. Not that it was a reach, and it was not a glaring need, but it was almost a Bill Polian-esque type of move. And if you go back to the aughts, the Polian decade, if you will, I realize he was here for 13 years from 98 through 2011, but in the heyday in the 2000s, when you have so many holes filled, you're almost drafting a year ahead of time. And there were guys and players that we joked, hey, listen, this guy's going to be on the NFL redshirt program for a year. He's going to get paid. He's going to play special teams. He will be asked to grow into a starter's role. in year 2 and probably no more than that. Seemingly those days of that patience are long gone in the National Football League, but it's a good problem to have. And if you looked at the Colts draft needs, what did we all say at the end of April or in early May? It was like the Colts were operating off of a checklist. Need a wide receiver? Check. Alec Pierce, Cincinnati, round 2. Need a lineman? Check. Ryman from Central Michigan. Need a tight end? Check. Got a couple of those. Jelani Woods from Virginia. And then later on day 3, Alec Ogletree from First Findlay and then Youngstown State. And then after that, we said, all right, you can kind of take the best player available. Well, the next guy they took after they hit the 3 needs they had to get in wide receiver, offensive tackle, and tight end, the next guy they got was Nick Cross, was a safety. And we all kind of go, that's interesting. But we said, you know what? Khari Willis is coming up, has 1 more year left on his deal. And Julian Blackmon has shown to be a great healer and has been a talented player when he's been on the field. But the Colts drafted him injured in 2000, and he got to the field much quicker than anybody thought he would. Then he gets hurt in practice early in 2021 and misses a chunk of the season. And we simply say, well, all right, well, maybe you're hedging your bets, or it's a player that you really liked, and all of those things can be true. But potentially there was also some conversation saying, hey, Frank, hey, Chris, I want to let you know I'm thinking about this. I'm not sure I've made up my mind yet, but you may want to be prepared that I'm not sure I'm playing in 2022, and I may be walking away earlier than you, or anybody else expected for me to do. So we'll ask JJ about that. In terms of what this does for the Colts defense, Khari Willis was not a spectacular player, but he was a very solid player. And I would put him kind of in the category of a Bobby Okereke. He's a guy that we don't talk about a lot, but you felt he was very reliable in terms of doing his job. Anthony Walker was like that, when he was here, and now he plays in Cleveland. So was Khari going to be a home run hitter for this defense? No. You expect the big names in no particular order. I'll scrap that. I'll give you an order. Let's just go from front to back. Buckner's got to be a playmaker, and now that there are more players that can take pressure off of him, he was great at drawing double teams because, well, he was the only guy you had to double team on that front line last year. Well, now you have an Ngakoue. Now you've got a healthy Odangbo. Now you've got a second-year Kwity Paye. And so the idea is, hey, Buckner needs to be a game wrecker over the center guard gap. And Ngakoue needs to be his solid self. He needs to kind of play the role that Houston did when he was here. Roll out the ball, good for 10 sacks. It's kind of what you kind of need out of a guy like Ngakoue. Obviously, we've got question marks in terms of exactly what's going on with Darius Leonard, but let's hope for the best. His timeline, he's back to playing as of week 1 on September the 11th, and you know that he's going to be a playmaker, air quotes here, folks, as long as he is able to be healthy and be on the field. Kenny Moore's a playmaker for you. A playmaker is Stephon Gilmore. A playmaker is Julian Blackmon. Again, let me use the air quotes, the asterisk, etc., as long as he's healthy and can stay on the field. So Khari wasn't going to be that guy. Khari was going to be the guy that would help clean up some messes and help make sure that guys were in the right place. And while he may not be the guy that made the play because of where he was positionally, defensive knowledge, etc., that would help make the play for the football team. So it will not be easy to replace him, but Cross is a guy they seemingly like. And all of a sudden, the fast-forward button has been hit now for the third-round pick out of Maryland. And I will go back to what I said yesterday, almost as a throwaway line, but it's like I have done this before, or I've been in this chair, or yapped in this microphone over the course of the last couple of decades. When I said, hey, after minicamp is over and until training camp starts, while it doesn't do us good in the sports talk radio business, the sports broadcasting business, etc., as a Colts fan, you want it to be all quiet on the Western Front. You don't want to hear things about your team because usually that means they're not good. Usually that means that somebody got hurt, somebody got arrested. And while, again, this certainly isn't bad news for Khari Willis, And while the Colts are happy for him moving on to the next phase of his life, are the Indianapolis Colts a better football team than they were yesterday? The answer is no, because Khari Willis isn't going to be there. Again, for all the right reasons, but no. Again, they did draft his replacement, although I will defer to a man that covers the team on a full-time basis in JJ Stankovitz. And we had this conversation about basketball yesterday. Let's not get too caught up in terms of positionality, where, you know, is he a one? Is he a two? Is he a three? Is he a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? He's a small forward. The NBA is going to wings and bigs. And maybe you differentiate point guard off of wing, but it's really a three-position sport at this juncture. In the National Football League, we have grown accustomed to free safety, strong safety, box safety, guy that's going to walk in and be like an 8-man box, or, you know, kind of allow you to play 3 cornerbacks and have 1 true free safety. Willis was kind of that guy. Is Cross that guy, or is he kind of a hybrid between he and Blackman? And now, because of having a new defensive system in Gus Bradley, frankly, does it matter? You just want to get your great athletes on the field, and how we think they line up from a positional standpoint tends not to matter as much. So there you go. That is the Colts news of the day. Nothing controversial, far from it. But a guy that we thought was going to be a starter for this football team elects to move on. And again, you said it in your statement, Khari. I'll say it right back at you. God bless you. And I hope nothing for the best but you and your family and your walk with the Lord. And it's been great to cover you and get to know you here with the Indianapolis Colts over the course of the last 3 seasons. One more time, the guest list is as follows. Next segment, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, all things Indiana Pacers. We're 8 days away from the draft. 4 o'clock, Bob Herrig, not of ESPN.com, but of SI.com. And we'll talk golf. We'll talk his new book. We'll talk U.S. Open. We'll talk LIV. We'll talk all of those things as well with Will Haskett at 5. And again, JJ Stankovitz on the latest on the Khari Willis news. And the Colts also signed another veteran defensive end that I'm going to have to study before I try to even pronounce his name on the radio. Means I got my work cut out me for those preseason telecasts, perhaps. Back with more in a moment. Greg Rakestraw in for JMV, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, June 15th, we're running a one-day only special. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy, clinically proven to open up and repair blood vessels. 60 clinical studies now say this technology can get rid of your erectile dysfunction without pills. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that produces powerful results in the bedroom. And today only, we're offering 4 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, and it's only good today, Wednesday, June 15th. Worth almost $1,000, but call today and it's totally free. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and restore those intimate moments. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 317-552-1111.
This is a call to the self-starters, to the self-made and the self-sufficient. It's time to declare a new kind of independence, because Edelman Financial Engines is here to provide tailored investment solutions for your kind of wealthy. You should expect more from your wealth advisors. Our investment management approach is based on Nobel Prize-winning research, and our planners don't sell products to earn commissions. And because we're here for those who question the answers, we model more than 38,000 securities so we can better stress test your portfolio through thousands of scenarios. So no matter where you're going next, see what we can build for you. Call 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com to get your complimentary financial plan. Edelman Financial Engines, built for those who built themselves.
If you're a window installer, keep it simple. Choose Andersen 400 Series windows. They're the cladwood windows contractors trust the most. So much so, they're the windows contractors trust for their own homes. And with fewer callbacks, the choice is simple. It's Andersen 400 Series windows, the windows contractors trust the most. Get started at AndersonWindows.com today.
Claims based on 2022 Anderson Brand Survey of U.S. contractors.
Indianapolis. At Geico, our employees' careers matter to us.
An inclusive office matters to me.
We hear you, Kelly. Geico has employee resource groups that bring people from all communities together because diversity matters. Your hopes and dreams matter. Even giving you a little space for your lucky bobblehead matters.
Want to work at Geico, Randy? Oh, he says yes.
When it comes to your career, what matters to you matters to Geico. We're now hiring claims, sales, and customer service agents. Apply today at careers.geico.com/Indianapolis and let's get growing.
911, what's your emergency?
Por favor, necesito ayuda. Está volando y creo que me va a pegar otra vez.
I will get someone to speak with you. Please stay on the line.
Hola, tengo su ubicación. Ayuda está en camino.
Getting past a language barrier is critical when first responders help Hoosiers. That's why the State 911 Board provides special tools for non-English speaking citizens to communicate with emergency services.
Si estás en peligro, aunque no hables inglés, podrás recibir ayuda en una emergencia rápidamente.
All Indiana 911 centers began offering translation services in over 240 languages in 2019. Now people can send text messages for help in their native language to 911 and receive a translated text back from the dispatcher. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations.
Cuando llame o envíe un texto al 911, un servicio de traducción se asegurará que entiendan lo que está diciendo.
For more information, visit in911.net.
Gracias.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
You forget something?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be able to pick up Braden tonight after practice.
Oh, did something come up at work?
Nah, not even going to make it in today.
Why? What's going on?
Well, I'm coming up on some construction in about a quarter mile. I've already started ignoring the signs. In a minute, I'll force my way through traffic while texting. I'll pull the wheel a little too far and drive right through the barrels where I'm going to hit a few workers. One of them is going to get killed, so then I'm going to be arrested and charged with vehicular manslaughter.
No one plans on having an accident, but you can plan to avoid one. Read the signs. Slow down. Stay alert.
This is Joe Bulk, business manager of Labor's Local 204. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down. Save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
The largest bourbon event in Indiana is back. Big Red Liquor's Bourbon Expo and Rare Bourbon Lottery is Saturday, July 9th, 1 to 4 at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Tickets on sale now for 400 plus bourbons to sample, plus Rare Bourbon Lottery. Get your tickets now, BigRedLiquors.com. Must be 21 to enter.
School is in session.
Coach Jeff Brown, as you're in the middle of this summer, what do you see out of your players thus far?
For us, I'll just be blunt. It's about getting everybody healthy. In order for us to win at a high level, we're going to need everybody healthy and ready to go. So we're very cautious and careful how we do it. We understand that while coaching is important, the players on the field are more important, and we've got to get these guys healthy and ready to go for game one.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Get him a body bag! Yeah! All right.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It's all gas and no brakes at this point in terms of the Pacers draft. 8 days away. Over the last few days, it has been these kind of one-off workouts, these guys that are very serious contenders to be the 6th pick for the Indiana Pacers. Today, it was a 6-pack of players. And again, I think largely the group you're looking at maybe at 31 towards the end of the second round. But whether you're the 6th pick, 31st pick, or simply a chance to make the Summer League, I guarantee you Scott Agnes knows your name, and he joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Of course, you can follow his work at Fieldhouse Files. Good afternoon, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Greg. Good afternoon to you.
All right, my first question for you, because I have somewhat seen his game. I have never heard him speak. Does Scottie Pippen Jr. have the same low range as his dad in terms of his speaking voice?
I don't think anyone can quite replicate that, right? You know right away when you were talking with Scottie Pippen. But, yeah, Junior was in today, a little shorter than you might imagine, like almost my height, and listed at 6'1". I think that might be a little bit of a stretch, but he was in there and talked about his experience and what he's hoping for. But I was even thinking about this today, though. Imagine, Greg, going around on these workouts, and most actual fans may not realize this. Most visits, they do not meet with the media, and teams do not announce who they work out. Pacers are special. They do that because they've kind of always done that, and I do appreciate that. But with Scottie Pippen Jr., when he is doing workouts, what do you imagine the first 5 questions are about? Unlikely about him, and that would be annoying.
You get used to it, though, and there are opportunities given to you, not to mention a nice financial base growing up if you're the son of one of the 50 and then 75 greatest players in the history of the National Basketball Association. All right. Again, let's kind of work our way from the top down. 8 days out, if I said, all right, who's your number 6 for the Pacers, who you picking right now?
Yeah, without further context, I think my go-to guy remains Ben Mathurin out of the University of Arizona. So he's with the fellow Panther. I know you're having Haskett on. He's with Jason Gardner, who joined the staff this past year. But Mathurin's a wing. He's an excellent shooter, has a stockier frame. Defense still needs some work. Really like his confidence, his aggression, has a really good backstory if fans aren't familiar with him. But I really like the potential with him out on the wing and playing alongside Halliburton and Chris Duarte.
All right, so if Mathurin is at 6, and again, by this point in time in the process, we all become experts. You know, we all have the names memorized and the different tiers, so to speak. So clearly tier 1 seems to be Jabari, Banchero, Holmgren. There's your first 3. Then seemingly the consensus is Ivy, Murray, either flipped or flopped at 4 and 5, which would lead, here's the Pacers next at 6, and you've got Mathurin there. So I do that build up to set up this question. If the names are different in the top 5, if one of those 5 guys falls out, would the Pacers have an interest in that player, or you think Mathurin still be their guy?
Yeah, I think there absolutely would be interest. And first of all, yeah, I agree with those tiers that you laid out. Here are the kind of 2 wild card scenarios I'm trying to consider and draw up of what might be in play for the Pacers. For one, OKC always goes a little bit different. So, yes, Chet makes a lot of sense. They're not on a win-now timeline. Chet has high potential, but you're going to have to give him a little bit of time and develop, and OKC's proven to do well with that. But what if they're intrigued by Jaden Ivey, right? And that throws a wrench into everything a little bit. Then things get interesting, and then even more so, and probably more likely at this point, Greg, is number 4 in Sacramento. Everyone you talk to around the league, or at least that I have here, does not expect for the Kings to make this pick. We saw at the trade deadline, they're in more win-now mode. They want to get back to the playoffs. No, they're not a contending team. But you got De'Aaron Fox. You now have Domas Sabonis right there. Can you plug and play a guy right away? The only one that makes sense right away probably is Keegan Murray. And he would actually be a really good fit, I think, with Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. But what if they want a more ready-made player right now? I mean, to some extent, a guy like Malcolm Brogdon makes sense for the Kings, for example. But if they are not choosing at that 4 spot, or let's say if some team is intrigued by a random name or with Ivy, or Shaedon Sharpe somehow jumps in there, and he's a big kind of mystery guy, it seems like that point, then things get really interesting. But it seems to me the Pacers should be very comfortable with Ivy, Murray, or Ben Mathurin are the top 3. Although I will say in recent weeks, Dyson Daniels, I think, has put himself in that conversation as well. He's a bigger, more defensive-minded guard.
Shaedon Sharpe just scares me. Just the fact that, and again, I realize a guy like Daniels went to the G League, and again, to me, if you play in the G League, you probably played against tougher competition than you would have on a night-in, night-out basis in college basketball. But Sharpe not having played at all this year, I'm very nervous if that's the way the Pacers go at 6. Do you feel the Pacers brass might feel the same way?
Yeah, I'm not sure how you could not right now, because most of the people I talked to at the Combine were like, yeah, we're looking at YouTube highlights from 2 and 3 years ago, and maybe some Canadian basketball highlights. Like there's not much, there's not just much content to go off of with him. And then people are looking into the situation with Kentucky and him going there but not playing and that sort of thing. And also, I wonder if he's how restrictive his agent in this situation has been, both in where he's visited and which teams get his medicals. And if you don't get his medicals, teams aren't very comfortable in pulling the trigger on a guy, especially with so much unknown. And Shaden Sharp is probably the most unknown guy in terms of what teams have on him here in the first round.
All right, let's kind of go back to that whole tiers comment, because if the Pacers have the first pick in tier 3, so to speak, is there value for the Pacers in trying to trade back, not a great deal, but 2, 3, 4 picks, et cetera? If you think, okay, the next 5 or 6 guys are all very similar, are all guys that could help the franchise, is there value in moving back a handful of picks and getting an extra asset, or are you better off taking the guy you absolutely want at 6?
I go back to, when's the last time they've been here, Greg?
Yep.
1989.
Well before you were born, yes.
So, yes, in my lifetime, it has not been there. So you hope not to be back, at least anytime soon. So I think this is their one nearby shot here to get big, go big, and get something that's very special that they usually are unable to get, and hope they can, get Paul George works out at 10, which he very well did here. So unless something just really intriguing jumps and is made available to the Pacers, I see that more unlikely, especially because they're the team that has assets that they can send off to get additional picks. And I think that's far more important, to get guys that are on their timeline right now. And so I would love to see something get done moving on from Malcolm Brogdon before the draft, and and also in exchange getting, say, pick 11 or 12 or something like that. So then for last year and this year, you would have basically 2 top 20 guys in both classes, and that's what you're building on.
Again, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, our guest. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Greg Rakestraw in for JMV here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. All right, so with that, again, these conversations go hand in hand. They're 1A and 1B. It's not just 6. It's, okay, who else are you bringing in? What contracts are you moving off of? So let's go straight to Malcolm Brogdon. Yesterday I had the conversation, and we'll use tiers again here. When it comes to tradable draft assets, yes, there are 31st round picks, but there are really 2 different types of first round picks: lottery and non-lottery. Do you think, even if it's a back-end lottery pick, do you think Malcolm Brogdon would command a lottery pick of that value? Could he be greater than, say, pick 15, pick 20 in terms of trade value?
Yeah, I think certainly if you're willing to include pick 31 as well.
Okay.
And I think that would probably be likely depending on the trade package. I could totally see where it's Brogdon and pick 31. You're bringing on a contract. Maybe it's a little higher, but it expires after this year. So you're helping the team in that way. But you're also able to pick up, the 11th pick from New York or 13th from Charlotte. Those 2, for example, make a lot of sense. It's just unfortunate for the Pacers that Cleveland just completely laid an egg over the last couple of months of the season, dealt with injuries, because the Pacers would be really interesting right now if they also had picked, 18, 19, 20, like we all expected when that great trade was made back in February.
Again, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, a couple quick things, and then we'll let you go. We always say if you don't like the weather in Indiana, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. It seems like we can also apply that to Miles Turner trade rumors. One day it's, hey, the Pacers want to hang on to Miles Turner. The next day it's, hey, they'll ship him out for a bag of basketballs. 8 days out from the draft, the wind is blowing in what direction regarding Miles' future with the blue and gold?
I think it's more likely than not that he remains here. The Pacers still need to see more. They want to see if he's healthy, which I've told he is, that he's back in Dallas, that he's started up his off-season training regimen after healing that foot injury, and also he always kind of takes about a month off at the end of the season. But realistically, we haven't seen him play basketball here in 4 or 5 months. But he's going into a contract, the final year of his contract. So if you're Pacers, I'm not sure you're quite comfortable making a significant offer that Miles would expect at this point when you haven't seen him on the floor. And beyond that, you haven't seen the fit with Tyrese Halliburton, for example. Now, I don't think there will be any problem with that, but those are the things that the Pacers front office has to consider. There definitely is going to remain value for Miles. I think it is more than Malcolm across the league. There's always teams in needs of bigs. Now, are they willing to pay $25 million after this season moving forward for a big in this current landscape? That remains the big question, I think, because some of the top bigs are commanding that. You look at a team like Boston, no, they're not paying $20 million a year for Robert Williams and Daniel Tice, for example. So things will get interesting, but my current sense here is that Miles is part of this group moving forward.
All right, final thing before we let you go, and this is getting deep down in the weeds, but the last time you and I had a conversation for Network Indiana's Indiana Sports Talk, I kind of got to this point. So the Pacers would like to acquire draft picks and like to move on potentially from Malcolm Brogdon or maybe Miles Turner and or maybe Buddy Hield. You also have to get to a salary floor as well. There's a salary cap. There's a luxury tax. There is a minimum amount of salary you have to spend. It's not like you can just have a bunch of guys on first-year contracts or first contracts in the NBA and go on the cheap. So at some point in time, let's say a week or two into July, maybe sooner than that, do the Pacers get to a point where they go, hey, we have to bring a player in or accept an expiring contract from somebody just to get to that floor level? Is there a scenario like that for Kevin Pritchard and company?
It's highly unlikely. I think there's just so many contracts out there, Greg. But to your larger point, I think it's very realistic that there might be a guy on the Pacers roster purely for contractual reasons that expires at the end of the year, where the Pacers help out another team because they have cap space. They're one of maybe 4 or 5 teams in the league. That is it, that has cap space. So teams will be calling, they'll be offering picks or maybe a rotation of player along with a bad contract, and that's where the Pacers can benefit. And so we heard Kevin talk about at the draft lottery about having options. We've already discussed 3 or 4 different scenarios. This would be another one where it's absorbing some contracts and in turn picking up some additional assets. But I don't think there should be any concern about it hitting the NBA salary floor. That's just over about $100 million. Pacers have some high-priced guys. They're going to have to start paying guys here in a couple of years. They do have options. Like you could do Miles Turner, renegotiate his contract. It wouldn't be a full contract extension, but in doing so, it would give him more money up front. And in doing so, that would allow for more money to come off the books or be on the books, I guess I should say, on the cap this year. A lot of salary cap minutia, but I don't think that will be a problem whatsoever.
Where can people find your fantastic work?
Yeah, just head over to fieldhousefiles.com and then the Fieldhouse Files podcast. A lot of draft content heading into next Thursday.
And it's not going to stop between now and the next 8 days, and frankly, the 8 days after that. And the 8 days after that, maybe by the time we get to the 8th month of the year in August, that's where it starts to slow down as there's finally a little bit of a breather once the summer league comes to an end. As always, thanks for the time and the insights. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
You got it. Scott Agnes again joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Something Scott had to say get your attention regarding the Pacers. We can talk about that. We can talk about the more breaking news of the day, and that goes back to the Indianapolis Colts as starting strong safety Khari Willis is electing to walk away from the National Football League after just 3 seasons. Or if you want to continue yesterday's conversation about the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, U.S. Open, all intersecting this weekend, we can do that as well. Lots of guests in the 4 o'clock hour. Open phone lines next segment. You got something you want to say? Now's the time. 317-239-1070. Greg at 1070thefan.com or tweet to me at Greg Rakestraw. Back in a moment. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Dan Dockich's annual Tom Dockich Memorial Golf Outing presented by Franciscan Health is on the schedule and set for July 18th. Go to 1075thefan.com/events for details and tickets.
Hey, it's JMV here for John and Chris Love. That's Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141. I would not trust anybody else with my cool and comfort in-house and making sure that my system is running efficiently. If you feel as if yours isn't, 353-2141. Get that checkup from John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air, making sure it doesn't cost you money and you remain cool and comfortable. Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com today.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
June 19th is Father's Day. Give Dad what he really wants. Twin Peaks. Spend the day Stay at Twin Peaks and Dad can score a cheeseburger, fries, and 22-ounce draft for just $10. Ask your Twin Peaks girl how to get yours. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Nestled on 175 wooded acres near the picturesque town of Zionsville, Golf Club of Indiana boasts 15 water holes, 72 bunkers, and championship tees of more than 7,000 yards. Upon visiting the facility, Jack Nicklaus stated, Golf Club of Indiana is as nice a facility as I've seen to come out and play daily fee golf. Golf Club of Indiana, just 20 minutes from Indianapolis International Airport and from beautiful downtown Indianapolis. Call us at 769-6388 to reserve your tee time today.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
Royal Pin Entertainment is the place to be. They have 3 locations in Indy, plus enjoy mini golf, laser tag, and arcades. Visit the Royal Cafe, stocked with a full menu of all the essentials, and 2 full-service bars at each location. Royal Pin Centers are perfect for family outings, an evening hangout, or date night. It's easy. Just reserve your lane online at royalpin.com to skip the line. For more information, call 465-8484 or visit royalpin.com.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Call 465-8484 or go to royalpin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin, bowling.
Hey, ladies, have you started thinking about Father's Day gifts yet? JMV here for Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. I've got the perfect gift for him and you. Make him an appointment at Aurora. Knock out his snoring once and for all. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Peaceful, rejuvenating sleep for both of you. The Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. StopYourSnoreNow.com for that private consultation today. StopYourSnoreNow.com.
Circle K is America's thirst stop. And yours, especially when the weather gets... and you need to stay refreshed on the go with ice-cold Circle K favorites like freshly ground iced coffee, Froster, Polar Pop Cup, and more. Think of it as the ultimate thirst-quenching, totally rehydrating summer splash zone. When life's go, 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 make us your first stop. Because Circle K is America's thirst stop.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. Mark Deedle Realty. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdeedle.com. That's markdeedel.com. Today. So, how about Eddie in Mooresville? He wanted to sell his rental property to maximize the equity now in case prices start to cool. He heard about Mark Deedle on the radio and hired him. Everything he claims on the radio is absolutely true. Mark is smart and aggressive. He gave him multiple offers on that home in days, and they had it sold in 2 weeks for the high price that he wanted. Mark Deedle has a guarantee for you. Multiple offers on your home in 3 days, or he is going to list it for free. That's Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. MarkDeedle.com. That's MarkDietel.com today. Hey, JMV, if you have a water softener in your home, you probably forgot to add salt a couple of times. And without salt in your softener, that can really wreck your home appliances. That's why my friends at Kinetico created the new Kinix Salt Monitor. It sends alerts to your smartphone when you're running low on salt, and you can check salt levels anywhere, anytime. For a limited time, Kinetico is slashing the price of the Kinix Salt Monitor in half. Act fast and take advantage of this great deal on the Kinix Salt Monitor. Get all the details, KineticoIndy.com today.
Kick off summer with Customer Appreciation Week at Sundown Gardens. Save 20% on everything retail at Sundown Gardens all week. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundowngardens.com.
Thursday on Kevin and Query, Scott Agnes previews the NBA Draft. Will Haskett previews the U.S. Open and more vacation recommendations for Kevin. Fun starts at 7.
The Ride with JMV.
I want you out in front of the school with her. I'd like to have a few words with you, by God.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So, when I am doing an interview, as I break off a piece of the microphone here in the studio for those of you watching live. You're hearing me just fine, but the on button came up when I tried to hit it down. Sports Talk Radio host problems. Greg Rakestraw in for JMV on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Oftentimes when I am in conversation, I forget to check Twitter because people are asking me about TJ Warren or Jalen Smith or Buddy Hield, and I got Scott on for 15 minutes. You have to go in depth on some questions. Scott did a great job of explaining to the Twitter person that said, hey, there's some issues with Jalen Smith because of how his contract was done in Phoenix and then traded to the Indiana Pacers. It was almost kind of like a poison pill type of deal. So it was thought that it was going to be kind of a rental player for the Pacers. If he comes back, great, but more than likely he's probably ended up heading elsewhere. Greg asked about TJ Warren. And at this point, after you have missed the last 2 seasons, more or less, I'm kind of ready to move on from TJ Warren. And I'll go back to something Scott had to say in terms of getting players that are on the same timeline. And that is having guys that are largely in their mid-20s or younger to have a core that you can build together with. And I know that Bubble TJ Warren was fantastic, and we all laughed about the steal that we thought the Pacers got when the Phoenix Suns basically gave him away. Maybe they knew something that we didn't. And so after having not played for the last 2 years, and I know you can probably get him back for a song, I'm not crazy interested at this point. I'd rather move on with younger guys if I'm the Indiana Pacers. So for what it's worth, 317-239-1070. Tweet to me at Greg Rakestraw. Email the program to Greg at 1070thefan.com. From Nick, if we have Blackman and Cross in the back, we may have the fastest safety duo in the league. Absolutely. And there were other veterans that were brought in to help that position as well. And let's face it, I thought that position didn't damage the Indianapolis Colts that much last year when Khari Willis was hurt and not playing and when Blackman was lost for the season. So there are things you can do at safety, especially when you got talented guys in front of you, as the Colts seemingly do, to, again, get around a loss of a player like Willis. And now we just knock on wood and hope for the best from a health standpoint for 2 young players, a guy 3rd year in the league. And now, in terms of rookies, you may end up having to get the biggest impact from the guy you drafted 4th, and that being Cross being a starter. Because clearly you needed to draft a wide receiver, but my guess would be Pierce is probably your 3rd leading receiver at best this year, behind Pittman and Hines, again, injury permitting. We talk about Ryman being a guy that can help you as far as the tackle is concerned. It looks like that's Matt Pryor's job to try to win and hang on to when camp rolls around 5 or 6 weeks from now. Jelani Woods is an athletic marvel in terms of his size. But again, how many passes are going to be thrown his way when he's probably the number 2 tight end at best behind Mo Alley-Cox? So even though there were bigger needs, quote unquote, going into the draft, you could say that maybe the guy that was drafted 4th turned out to be the guy that is looking like he's going to have maybe the biggest impact and certainly most playing time, or at least a chance of it, given to him right off the start. Let me get to Warwick and Jim's telephone call before we get to our next time out. Warwick, how you doing?
Hi, Greg. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, sir.
Can I ask a question about the Colts and one about the LIV Tour?
Please, sir. Please.
Okay. Which rookies and undrafted free agents have stood out at minicamp?
You know what? I was at minicamp maybe 3 or 4 times. There was not a lot of guys because there was such a focus on those 3 guys that I mentioned. And then you saw Cross in terms of, well, he's running with the ones. At OTAs and minicamp, really the guys that you will notice the most are quarterbacks and wide receivers. That is because what they are doing is the closest thing that replicates even what you see in training camp, let alone in an actual game. Because in training camp, they're in pads half the time to 2/3 of the time. In minicamp, they're never in pads. I mean, never. And so much in terms of 7-on-7 and even 11-on-11 is walkthrough stuff and not full speed. So what you notice is who's starting with whom. who's with the ones, who's with the twos, who's out there, who's not, and as a wide receiver, who's catching passes when the quarterback throws it to him. In other words, Warwick, I'll have a much better answer of that literally after 1 week of training camp than I would at minicamp, because if I was looking at a rookie, my eyes were drawn to, is Pierce out there? Hey, is Woods catching the ball? Hey, it's Cross out there starting and not Willis. I wonder what's up with that. Those are the things that I noticed, not the guys down the board and not the undrafted guys. With one exception, Sterling Weatherford, local kid, Hamilton Heights. I know his brother Grant very well, so I looked at 55 as a linebacker. That's the one kind of undrafted guy I said, I want to see how that guy's doing.
All right. Well, that's some useful information right there.
Good. What else you got for me, buddy?
Well, regarding the LIV Tour and the 4 majors on the PGA.
Yep.
My understanding is that each of the majors decides whether or not a LIV player can compete in their tournament.
Correct. And let me explain. And this is, in other words, the PGA Tour does not run any of the majors, okay? The PGA of America runs the PGA Championship. Obviously, Augusta National has their own criteria for the Masters. The United States Golf Association runs the U.S. Open. The Royal and Ancient, which is kind of the governing, it's the USGA of Great Britain, they run the Open Championship. So in other words, those tournaments decide whom gets to play in them. And normally it's a combination of something like this, where for the non-PGA Championship, there's X amount of spots reserved for amateurs that qualify in different ways. Then there's X amount of spots for like the top 50 world golf rankings, guys that have won the event in the last 10, 20 years for the Masters, lifetime exemptions based until the age of 65 if you've won the event. The PGA is different in that amateurs don't play the event, but they reserve 20 to 25 spots for this, top club pros that compete in this national tournament that get to qualify to play in the PGA Championship. So the PGA Tour has, the rankings of the PGA Tour play a factor in who plays in them, but the PGA Tour does not decide who plays in a major. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Good explanation.
Okay.
Clears it up. My last point would just be, do I understand that the LIV Tour will only play 54 holes?
That is the plan right now. I'm going to let you go because I want to get to one more telephone call. But yes, as of now, it's 48 players, guaranteed paycheck for playing, 54 holes, shotgun start. And I will go more in depth on that in the next segment of the program. Let me get Jim's telephone call real quick. Hello, Jim.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good,
Calling
sir.
From San Antonio, Texas.
Well,
listen to you guys.
I'm sure it is amazingly hot in San Antonio right now, is it not?
It's been over 100 degrees for about the last 2 weeks in a row. I'm from Indy, born and raised. I still listen to 1070 The Fan every day.
Yep.
I work for the San Antonio soccer team down here that's in the same league as the 11.
How is my buddy Jordan Farr doing, Jim? How's he doing?
That's what I was going to mention. I talked to Jordan Farr yesterday. He mentioned you.
Yep.
And he wanted me to say hi. He is doing well. He had the night off last night in the victory. But he is their number one goalie, and he wanted me to say hi to you.
Well, you please give Jordan my best. I have been so fortunate that this is now my 9th year of being the voice of the Indy 11, and I have made many lifetime friends and been close to many players on the Indy 11. There is not a better human being that has played for the Indy 11 than Jordan Farr. And
he speaks highly of Indy. In fact, the San Antonio is coming up there, I think, in September. His wife's going to have a baby, and his wife's doing a baby shower in Indianapolis because that's where all his friends are at.
That's right.
So the other reason I called, where are they at with the stadium for the Indy 11? And in your opinion, will we ever get a Major League Soccer team in Indianapolis?
Major League Soccer, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm going to put you on hold because I'm up against it time-wise. I need to get to a break. In terms of the stadium, I'm certainly hopeful. The funding mechanism is still there. I know that is in the Indy 11 plans, but it's not going to be anytime in the next couple of years, just because whenever the land is acquired to have the new stadium, it's basically a 2-year building process. And since it's not been announced, I would expect to see the Indy 11 playing at IUPUI this year, next year, and possibly in 2024 as well. What I can tell you, Jim, and I haven't posted the pictures yet on Twitter, I was at Carroll Stadium today. And the new turf is being laid down at Carroll Stadium, and it looks marvelous. So the hope is that there will be a new Indy 11 and 11 park at some point sooner rather than later. But at least for this year and next year, and maybe into 2024, the home for the Indy 11 is going to be at Carroll Stadium in IUPUI. Jim, you please give Jordan Farr my best, and he's going to be here, barring that baby making its debut in this world, August 27th. Is when, trust me, I've got a highlight on my calendar, when San Antonio makes their way back to Indianapolis. Jim, thank you. You take care in San Antonio. I owe you a break. Bob Herrig of SI.com comes your way next here on The Fan.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, June 15th, we're running a one-day only special. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy, clinically proven to open up and repair blood vessels. 60 clinical studies now say this technology can get rid of your erectile dysfunction without pills. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that produces powerful results in the bedroom. And today only, we're offering 4 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, and it's only good today, Wednesday, June 15th. Worth almost $1,000, but call today and it's totally free. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and restore those intimate moments. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 317-552-1111.
Something extraordinary is happening right now at Diamonds Direct. You can make any purchase, pay nothing down, and get zero interest financing for 5 whole years. Imagine a $10,000 designer ring or diamond bracelet for less than $170 a month. Zero down, zero interest for 5 years on anything. You can't miss this limited time offer. You can finance the entire purchase price, including the sales tax, now through June 30th at Diamonds Direct. Get details, store hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
Those who've built their own financial success know that moving forward requires not just the right tools, but an in-depth knowledge of how to use them. That's why Edelman Financial Engines gives you a dedicated wealth planner supported by a team of experts. We know a modern wealth planning relationship demands human insight powered by advanced technology. Our advice is tailor-made for your personal goals, and our investment management approach is based on Nobel Prize-winning research. We model more than 38,000 securities, so we can better stress test your portfolio through thousands of scenarios. See what we can build for you. Call 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com to get your complimentary financial plan. Edelman Financial Engines, built for those who built themselves.
Hi, it's Bob from Royal Spa. Soaking in a hot tub full of Epsom salts is the absolute best way to minimize everyday aches and pains. And we know all about Epsom salts at Royal Spa. Royal Spa hot tubs are the only hot tubs on the market that can safely and effectively use Epsom salts. Made right here in Indiana, Royal Spa hot tubs are the highest quality hot tubs on the market. Visit any one of our 3 Indianapolis locations or visit royalspa.com.
Ah, Royal Spa.
Hey, it's JMV. Race Trash Services, the largest independent recycling and waste solutions provider in the Indianapolis area, and right now, they're looking for great people to join the team. Ray's is a family-operated business and has been providing Central Indiana with industry-leading recycling and waste disposal solutions since 1965. They focus a lot on the culture to make it a great place to work. Go to raystrash.com to see the career opportunities waiting for you. That's raystrash.com today. Ray's, your recycling and waste solutions partner.
Hey, Dan Dockich here for the Michaelis Corporation. When you need them, you will be out. So glad they are there for you. They have been there for me when my house needed emergency restoration and when I had planned renovations at my house. And they are there for me sponsoring the segment in the Fan Cave and the hole-in-one contest at my golf outing. If you get water in your basement, they can be there for you as well. Water, storms, fire, and foundations, life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. 844-FIX-INDY.
Hey, ladies, have you started thinking about Father's Day gifts yet? JMV here for Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. I've got the perfect gift for him and you. Make him an appointment at Aurora. Knock out his snoring once and for all. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Peaceful, rejuvenating sleep for both of you. The Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. StopYourSnoreNow.com for that private consultation today. StopYourSnoreNow.com.
Mortgage interest rates have started to drop, but you need to get locked in today. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. Home of the 10-day closing guarantee. NMLS number 1326-241.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB. WIBC HD3 W228CX. Indianapolis.
Your home for the 2022 NBA playoffs and the NBA Finals. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Hey, you gonna stare all day or you gonna buy something? I'm gonna stare all day.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
There is a new basketball player at Purdue. We'll tell you about that coming up a little bit later on in the program. The Colts will have a new starting safety this year. We've talked about that already. We'll talk more about that next segment with JJ Stankovich from Colts.com. My name is Greg Rakestraw, in for JMV for a second consecutive day on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. But we have a guest that is standing by, and it's a topic that we got way into the weeds on yesterday, and I'm sure it'll be continued to be talked about a lot over the course of the next few days, not just here, but really all around the golfing world. That's U.S. Open, of course, but it's also LIV Golf, it's PGA Tour, and what happens to both going forward. And we certainly have an expert joining us now. These days, you can find his work at SI.com. It is Bob Herrig, who just happens to be a graduate of Indiana University. Bob, thanks for the time. How you doing today?
That's right. Always happy to talk to anybody in Hoosier land. So thank you for mentioning that.
Of course. And you've got a new book out as well, and one of the protagonists in it certainly has been in the news of late. And amazingly, it's not Tiger Woods. That would be Phil Mickelson, as the book is Tiger and Phil, Golf's Most Fascinating Rivalry. Before we do anything else, tell us about the book.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, it's kind of a deep dive into the intersection of their careers from, early on before they were pros all the way through to this year. And of course I could add more to it after this year, given all that's gone on with those guys. But, it was sort of meant to highlight their careers through the very, very beginnings when Phil was really Tiger before Tiger. Phil was unbelievable as a kid golfer, just like Tiger was. He was a few years older. Unbelievable, junior player, unbelievable amateur, won a tour event as a pro. Won a tour event as an amateur while in college. Tiger never did that. Tiger never sniffed a pro victory as an amateur, and Phil did. I mean, Phil was destined for greatness just like Tiger, and they both have sort of exceeded it. I don't think anybody could have seen what they were going to do. And, along the way, they had their battles, and there was some friction between them. There was some pettiness. There was some childishness, and maybe a meeting of the minds at one point where things sort of settled down between them. But always, throughout the last 25 years or so, those were the two guys at the top. And it was a remarkable run, and they both had their had their great shining moments at the end, quite possibly. Tiger won in the Masters in 2019. Phil won in the PGA at age 50, which actually kind of trumps what Tiger's done. To win a major at age 50, you could put that up against some of the great exploits of Tiger. So I get into all of that, and it was a really fun project for somebody, especially who's been doing what I've been doing for a while.
All right, so with that, the big picture question we've all been asking for the last several months, what is Phil Mickelson doing? We understand the largest motivation and the number of zeros to the left of the comma, or the decimal point, I should say, that he is getting on this. But for a guy that, again, the credits were rolling last May, you walk off into the sunset, you win the PGA Championship, and within a few months, all of those 3 decades of goodwill that Phil had built up seemingly gets wiped away because of this decision and what he had to say to Alan Shipnuck and LIV Tour, etc. So I'll go back to my original question. What is Phil doing?
Well, I think it's a complicated answer, frankly. It could just be as simple as the money's so incredible, how do I not take it? I think it's a little bit more involved than that. He noted some of his issues with the PGA Tour. Some of them were not really viable. Some of them had some merit. Did it mean that it had to lead to this? I don't know. There are some things that more than just Phil have complained about as far as the PGA Tour, that the stars aren't compensated for their value. And this was before the LIV thing came along. The other alternative leagues that were out there were offering not this kind of money. This is off the charts money. We're talking about, a couple $1 million for players for appearances, say, which the PGA Tour has never allowed. And I use Tiger as the example. Tiger might sell out a tournament on his own. Might sell more parking, more tickets, more concessions, more hospitality. He drives the TV ratings up. But when he gets to the first tee on Thursday, he's assured of nothing.
Right.
And whereas the 100th ranked player in the world who didn't do any of that stuff and who nobody is there to watch necessarily, no knock on whoever that is, it's just the reality of it. If he beats Tiger, he gets paid more. Now, that's the essence of sports. But look, in other parts of sports, like in a boxing match, for example, the loser of a boxing match could get paid way less than the headliner. One agent put it to me, he said, imagine Tom Cruise signing up to make a movie, but he's only going to get paid after the movie is made and after the box office receipts are counted. And that's sort of the same thing as, playing the tournament and shooting the scores. Obviously, Tiger's made plenty of money. That's not the issue. And he makes a lot of money off the course. But that is also not the issue because other athletes have endorsements too. So it got to this point because enough players got it in their heads or it was whispered in their ears, you're worth more than you're getting. And then it boiled down to, putting some sort of a package together. It never really happened. And then now this sprung, and these guys are way overpaying now, and that's almost impossible to compete with.
Again, Bob Herrig, SI.com, as we talk LIV Golf, PGA Tour, and the U.S. Open that starts tomorrow up at Brookline in Massachusetts. He joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Is there I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway and let you, expound on it. The level of outrage, if this is funded through less nefarious sources than the government of Saudi Arabia. I'm sure we're having a debate about this, but the level of vitriol about it is turned down from like 11 to 2 if the money's not coming from where it's coming from, correct?
No question, because the non-golf people, I don't think, are going to be as bothered because it's an internal fight. And you have a lot of the same issues. The PGA Tour wouldn't like it. They would fight against it. They might still suspend guys. They have rules and regulations for their tour members, and all of that would remain the same. What's happened is the Saudi involvement has allowed it's another added on reason to be against it. And there's a lot of people, and rightly so, who absolutely are appalled that anybody would associate with the Saudi regime. And let's be honest, the money is not coming. It's not coming directly from the Saudi government. It's coming from the Public Investment Fund, which is their sovereign wealth fund. It's a fund that invests in numerous companies around the world. But the bottom line is it's there for them to use for things like this. Like people say, well, God, they can't make money doing this. They don't care. They make money investing their money in other things that are safer. They're in Disney, they're in Uber, they're in FedEx. They invest in those companies. They get returns. They build up this war chest of $600 billion. Then they use that money to do things like a golf tour or tennis tournaments or F1 or horse racing, and the idea is to improve their image. Now, if they improve the way they do things in their country, then maybe that's okay, but I don't know that we've seen that happen yet. Have they made an effort to make things better? The theory is they're trying to make us forget about all those things. I would argue that if anything, it's brought it more to the forefront. I mean, I've been doing, over the last 2-3 weeks, I've talked about this and written about this many, many times. And if in the golf world you weren't aware of what Saudi Arabia does, you sure should know now. So in a weird sort of way, they've brought attention to their own, negativity over there. Again, I could argue either side, but I completely get the people who have no use for this because of what the Saudi government does, the way they treat women, gay people. It's not a free country. You can't. There's no freedom of speech.
Right.
All the things. There's a laundry list of things that we don't agree with.
Couple quick things, couple more things, and then we'll let you go. And yes, we'll talk about the U.S. Open in a matter of moments. But final thing for me on the LIV standpoint is the other guy that has drawn the lion's share of attention, and there's other players we could get to in terms of Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed, etc., Bryson DeChambeau. I want to go the other direction in terms of Greg Norman. He was heavily involved with kind of the founding of the World Golf events, correct?
Well, it was his idea, and then the PGA Tour kind of squelched it,
right?
By putting together a series of World Golf events. Norman, back in the 90s, wanted to have same thing, a breakaway tour, a World Golf Tour where like 40 guys would be invited and they would play for a minimum amount, no cuts, and he apparently had the backing of Fox. And it kind of blew up when the PGA Tour pushed back and said, we're not going to let our members do it. And, Norman was left to fight the battle on his own with his own funds. And he wasn't going to take that on. That could have been incredibly expensive. And so then Tim Fincham, the then commissioner, a couple of years later, put in place a series of 3 or 4 World Golf Championship events every year that were sort of the same concept. Bring the elite players together, have no cuts. That means guaranteed money, and stage them around the world. Although, of course, I think, mostly they've been in the U.S. And Norman always sort of felt betrayed. He felt like, not only did they dump on my idea, but then they stole it.
Right.
And so, but of course, I don't blame the PGA Tour for trying to protect itself. If you're the PGA Tour and you're going to let all these guys go play on another circuit, it's going to hurt your own product, which then hurts your advertisers. It hurts your sponsors, your network TV partners who are going to be mad that they don't have those players. So, there's two sides to this. And both sides obviously have strong reasons for feeling the way they do.
Now that we have spent 10 minutes not talking about the U.S. Open, I'm going to try to blend this into the U.S. Open. Again, while guys like Phil or DJ or Patrick Reed, Bryson DeChambeau may not be playing the PGA Tour anytime soon, they're all playing the U.S. Open. What do you expect the crowd reaction to be like for those guys or anybody else that's heading towards the LIV Tour? What will the fans' reaction to them be like these next few days?
I'm not sure it's going to be bad because the Boston sports fans are known for being very, very passionate.
Yep.
But their negativity is hoisted on the opposing team. The Warriors just went through it, and that makes a lot of sense, right? But in golf, you're not really rooting against people as much as you are rooting for people. Even at the Ryder Cup here all those years ago, they were rooting hard for the U.S. and being abusive towards the Europeans. And I get that. Did some of it cross the line? Yes. But will they really get abuse? There might be the occasional jeer or there might be an occasional comment, but I don't think that's going to be the case overall.
Bob, again, a pleasure talking with you. I know you're busy. We'll let you go. The new book, again, Tiger and Phil, golf's most fascinating rivalry. You can read Bob's work on a daily basis this week and this time of year at SI.com. Bob, thanks for the time and the insights. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Take care.
You got it. Bob Herrick, again, SI.com, kind enough to join us. Now, I will get back. I know the last caller we had, or second to last caller we had before we got to this portion of the program, basically was asking, hey, in terms of formats and how they're doing things, et cetera, on the LIV Tour. So they all 54 holes? Yes, they are. They're all shotgun starts. And again, I understand both sides of it. And Kevin Bowen, that is on the morning show here, is clearly the guy that is the, most golf knowledgeable. By far, he's the best golfer of the group, and the guy that follows this on a more regular basis. And he said, hey, I hated the fact that you lost that sense of drama as you saw every group having to play the final 3 holes knowing what was on the line. This felt more like an exhibition, especially knowing the fact that everybody was getting a paycheck for playing in this event, somewhere between $120,000 for DFL, dead last. You can figure out the middle, over $4 million for the guy that won it in terms of Charles Schwartzel. And that's a fair point. I also understand the idea of it's the guys you want to see. It's a more compact amount of time. All golfers are on the course at the exact same time. What are we talking about in virtually every sport? Trying to find a way to make the action more compact, knowing that all of us around the planet suffer from attention deficit disorder. I'm watching the Reds and Diamondbacks as we speak. 2-0 for the good guys, by the way. That being the Reds. I think you know that by now. But Reds leading 2-0 and after winning an extra innings last night. But then at the same point, we say, God, baseball takes forever. I mean, there's pitch clocks in like every level of minor league baseball trying to speed up the games. One of the reasons why we say, hey, soccer's growing in popularity, a lot of reasons for it. One of the reasons is the game's going to take 2 hours. Unless it's for a championship or the knockout rounds of the World Cup, you're playing 2 hours, that's all, and you are done. So there are some things that the PGA Tour has done wrong. There are some things that this LIV Golf Tour potentially could get right. But to me, at the end of the day, it's about where the money is coming from, and that is the biggest problem. There are other problems with it, yes. And those that are traditionalists and say you don't have the history that the PGA Tour has. John Rahm talked about that yesterday. I thought he was fantastic on the subject. But to me, it all starts from where the money's coming from. That's the biggest problem that I have with it. Bob, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And please, folks, go check out his new book when you have the opportunity. Now, as I mentioned to start the segment, there has been a lot of talk about Purdue potentially landing a guard in the transfer portal. They have landed one. I can't say that I'm familiar with him. David Jenkins Jr. And I'm not sure if there's anything that speaks to what college basketball has, and this is not me complaining about it. It's more of an acknowledgement of it is what it is. Let me tell you about the places that David has played. You ready? This might take a while. He was the Summit League Freshman of the Year playing at South Dakota State in 2017 and 18. He played at South Dakota State again the next year. He then transferred to UNLV. As someone that has spent time both in Brookings, South Dakota and Las Vegas, Nevada, I understand. Then in the COVID-impacted year of 2021, he played for UNLV. This last year, David played at Utah, where he averaged 8 points a game, averaged about an assist or a rebound and a half a game, and had a handful of assists as well. So David Jenkins is going to play at Purdue this coming season, which will be the 4th different Division I program that he has played for. And I'm not saying any of that to say that he is a bad guy, and I have no idea how his skill set will translate to Purdue. 8 points a game at Utah. What's it going to mean for Purdue? I'm not quite sure. But what I know is this will be, and we had some of these last year too, the 7th year in which David has played college basketball. I did the games for IUPUI. We had a 7th-year kid last year with a couple of red shirts. With the COVID year, you have situations like that. But David Jenkins Jr., He's been in college basketball long enough, his name might be Senior. He'll be playing for the Purdue Boilermakers this year. 6'1" guard out of Tacoma, Washington. With that, we'll take this quick timeout. You want to talk about LIV Tour, U.S. Open Golf, etc.? Best way to do so, Twitter, at Greg Rakestraw. Email the show, greg@1070thefan.com. We will shift the focus back to the Colts and their safety who has elected to retire as of today. That would be Khari Willis after 3 years. JJ Stankovitz of Colts.com joins us next. Greg Rakestraw in for JMV, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, June 15th, we're running a one-day only special. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy, clinically proven to open up and repair blood vessels. 60 clinical studies now say this technology can get rid of your erectile dysfunction without pills. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that produces powerful results in the bedroom. And today only, we're offering 4 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, and it's only good today, Wednesday, June 15th. Worth almost $1,000, but call today and it's totally free. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and restore those intimate moments. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 317-552-1111.
Hey, it's JMV for the 14 Central Indiana Joe Childers Run CarX locations to help maintain that summer road readiness with this summer travel package for just $99.99. We're talking a synthetic blend oil change, coolant exchange, tire rotation, brake inspection, battery test, 2 standard wipers. You can add an AC inspection as well for just $19.99, all at your 14 Central Indiana CarX locations. Tell Joe Childers I sent you to find the one nearest you online, CarX.com today.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. The housing market has started to cool, but inventory is still low and homes are selling fast. We need to get you pre-approved today. The Home Loan Expert has lower rates, loan programs for almost everyone, and a 10-day closing guarantee. We can answer all your questions and make sure you're ready to close the deal when that perfect home hits the market. The 10-day closing guarantee, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
NASCAR and IndyCar action return for Brickyard Weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Saturday, July 30th, catch a doubleheader featuring the NTT IndyCar Series Gallagher Grand Prix, followed by the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 150. Then Sunday, the 31st, the NASCAR Cup Series Verizon 200 at the Brickyard. Experience the roar and power of NASCAR and the speed and precision of IndyCar in one exciting family-friendly race weekend. Kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now at IMS.com.
Hey, it's JMV for Indiana's best. Andy Moore Buick GMC, that's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. Into 2022, we go with a load of inventory. Your selection is enhanced, your car buying experience, the absolute best. Talk to my good friend Eric Wilson. If you're looking for a new set of wheels in the new year, get it done at only one place. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell him I sent you. 131st and State Road 37. It's Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers.
You forget something?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be able to pick up Braden tonight after practice.
Oh, did something come up at work?
Nah, not even going to make it in today.
Why? What's going on?
Well, I'm coming up on some construction in about a quarter mile. I've already started ignoring the signs. In a minute, I'll force my way through traffic while texting. I'll pull the wheel a little too far and drive right through the barrels where I'm going to hit a few workers. One of them is going to get killed, so then I'm going to be arrested and charged with vehicular manslaughter.
No one plans on having an accident, but you can plan to avoid one. Read the signs. Slow down. Stay alert.
This is Ray Hobbs, business manager of Labor's Local 741. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Hey, Dan Dockich here for the Michaelis Corporation. When you need them, you will be out. So glad they are there for you. They have been there for me when my house needed emergency restoration and when I had planned renovations at my house. And they are there for me sponsoring the segment in the Fan Cave and the hole-in-one contest at my golf outing. If you get water in your basement, they can be there for you as well. Water, storms, fire, and foundations, life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. 844-FIX-INDY.
The largest bourbon event in Indiana is back. Big Red Liquor's Bourbon Expo and Rare Bourbon Lottery is Saturday, July 9th, 1 to 4 at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Tickets on sale now for 400 plus bourbons to sample, plus Rare Bourbon Lottery. Get your tickets now, bigredliquors.com. Must be 21 to enter.
If you're serious about selling your home, call Mark Dietel and his team today at 317-755-4232 or online markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com today.
Well, another 500 is in the books, so let's look at the June checklist. Colts draft? Check. Pacers didn't make the playoffs? Check. The race is over? Check. Now back to the speculation, conjecture, and rumors.
I hear Shade and Sean. I've never seen the guy other than YouTube clips.
With the 6th pick, the Indiana Pacers select.
Find out June 23rd with the NBA Draft on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride without JMV. He is back tomorrow. Greg Rakestraw filling in. Tomorrow I'm going golfing. Seriously, getting to play in Brian Hammond's, I'll use this term loosely, celebrity golf outing tomorrow. Pray for me. I need to start hydrating like yesterday, given the weather condition. The Anderson Country Club is lovely. I'm not sure there's enough H2O to keep me hydrated in said weather conditions tomorrow, but we'll worry about that tomorrow. Right now we're talking sports with you on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. 317-239-1070 at Greg Rakestraw on Twitter, or you can email the program to greg@1070thefan.com. Thank you, Scott Agnes. Thank you, Bob Herrig, for being on the show already. Those interviews, I'm sure, are already available in podcast form at 1075thefan.com. To the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline we go. JJ Stankovitz of Colts.com, a last-minute addition to the show today because of the breaking news this afternoon that Khari Willis is done playing football after 3 years. First of all, JJ, good to see you last week at training camp. How you doing this afternoon?
Little ahead of yourself, Greg. Training camp not until July. But hey,
minicamp.
You know what?
Sorry.
You know what? Anything that resembled football felt great. I don't care if it was watching individual drills in helmets and shorts for 2 hours. I would have been there and happy to watch the whole thing.
All right, so with that, it was noticeable that Khari Willis wasn't there, and now we know the reason why. So was this kind of percolating out there? Did this news catch you by surprise today?
I think it's surprising anytime a player who's 26 years old decides to hang it up. But, you think about the reasoning Khari laid out in the Instagram post of, he's been thinking about this a lot. And it's something he's really passionate about, and a line in his life that he wants to follow in joining the ministry and teaching those about Christianity. I mean, it's something that you admire someone for passing on what he would have made. I believe this year would have been over $2 million to kind of follow his heart and follow his beliefs. And who better than Frank Reich to talk to about this? Frank, after his playing career ended, he joined the ministry. So, he obviously has some experience with that. Frank put out a statement saying, Khari has his full support. And, it all kind of wraps up where you don't feel surprised once you kind of read into why Khari made this decision.
Do you think that there had been any conversations between he and Frank and he and Chris heading into this? And the obvious reason I ask is that, once the immediate needs for the Colts in the draft were checked off, wide receiver, offensive lineman, tight end, the next place you go is safety. And now that young man is slated to be a potential starter in his rookie year in terms of Nick Cross. So you think these conversations had been happening for a while, potentially, in terms of Khari in the front office and coaching staff?
Yeah, I don't know that for a fact.
Of course.
But you can definitely connect some dots, not just with Nick Cross, but with Rodney McLeod signing in free agency. Rodney's a guy who hasn't really been a backup in the last couple of years. He's been a good starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not sure you sign him. If he would have signed here if he was just going to be, hey, you're just going to be a backup behind Khari Willis. So, again, you can kind of connect some dots there. And again, this is something that pretty clearly Khari had been thinking about for a while. I don't think you wake up one day and say, what I want to do is join the ministry and pass on $2 million. That's something that you are deliberating and thinking about quite a bit. So I would have to imagine the Colts were clued in on that at some point, which may or may not have affected their roster construction over the last couple of months.
I realize the depth chart on June 15th doesn't resemble the depth chart on August 15th and, more importantly, before September the 11th. But do you put the veteran ahead of the rookie right now, or do you think this is Nick Cross's job to go out and win?
Yeah, I think probably you go Rodney McLeod for right now. But here's the thing, Greg, is I remember a conversation Lara Overton and I had with Gus Bradley way back when he got hired in February. And Gus made the comment to us that his defense, the way it's taught, especially in the back end, by a guy like Ron Miles, who's been with Gus Bradley for years now, it's pretty good for getting rookies involved and successful early, right out of the gate. So while I think Rodney McLeod probably has the leg up just based on him being in the league for 10 years and being a good, solid veteran, you do not want to rule out Nick Cross. He's a really talented guy, brings a lot of talent and skill to the table. And again, if this is a defense that rookies can pick up quickly, it could be a job he could go win in training camp. There's going to be really good competition, I think, between Cross and Rodney McLeod up at Grand Park. Just given, again, that you like the veteran presence in the back end of a guy like Rodney McLeod, but if Nick Cross can step in and be the kind of guy the Colts project him to be, and the reason why they traded back into the third round and gave him a second-round grade, you think he could probably start from week one, potentially. But again, it's a good problem to have when you look at it and you say, Rodney McLeod's a pretty good player too. And this is all assuming that things continue to go well with Julian Blackmon at the other safety position. But, Greg, you saw Julian out there during that full-speed 7-on-7 during minicamp. If you didn't tell me that this guy had a torn Achilles about 7.5 months ago, I would have absolutely no idea that he went through a grueling rehab to get to that point.
Again, and feel free to interject here with knowledge of how Gus Bradley's system works and how he wants to play, but we have traditionally talked about free safety, strong safety. Strong safety is the box safety. Clearly, Blackmon is that guy that can cover the entirety of the field as a center fielder, if you will. Is Cross definitively a strong safety? Is he somewhat of a hybrid of the two? Again, this is not about him winning the job out of the gate. What sort of role do you see him playing in this defense whenever he works his way into a starting position?
Yeah, I think probably that other safety, Julian's going to be kind of more of that deep ball hawk. Probably that other safety is going to be a little closer to the line. But, here's the thing is that the Colts did bring John Fox in as the senior defensive assistant, and Fox's background is in a lot of quarters. Whereas Gus Bradley, obviously, it's the cover three, that Hawk three that he made famous in Seattle. But with John Fox, bringing that kind of quarters perspective, maybe you see a little more split safety. Maybe that lends itself to more interchangeability between the safeties. And Julian, by the way, last year, he was a top 10 run defending safety by Pro Football Focus's grades when he got hurt. So it's not like Julian can't get up there and thump a little bit. You think about some of those games against Tennessee, that week 3 game where Julian was hanging on to Derrick Henry's hamstrings the whole game. It was really impressive. So I think, you want those guys, whether it's Cross or McLeod, to be, more physical potentially. And Cross, certainly, he's a missile with his speed and his physicality. But they also need to be able to play deep a little bit. And I think that's where, maybe Fox's experience could come into play here. I'm fascinated, Greg, by how the Colts are going to go about scheming up this defense and what perspective a guy like John Fox, who's not going to come in and change the scheme for Gus, but hey, maybe you can install this here based on the opponent that you're going up against in week, whatever. And maybe that'll help you defend against some of these pass-oriented offenses. That little wrinkle in there, I think, is really interesting, and it's something that opponents that the Colts face are going to have to keep in mind when they're starting to plan and install stuff for what the Colts defense is going to look like, is that it might not be just the straight cover 3 that Gus Bradley has played for so long.
A couple of other points I want to get to. JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com. Our guest, Greg Rakestraw, in for JMV, The Ride on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Let's talk about Darius Leonard. And again, the hope is he's back towards the beginning of the season and out there for week number 1 on September the 11th. But if he is not, clearly, again, barring injuries, Bobby Okereke is a linebacker. This is frequently a team that plays, at least they have in the past, more nickel, more 4-2-5 than they really have played a 4-3. So if it's not Darius Leonard in week 1 and Bobby Okereke is going to get the lion's share of the snaps at one position, who's the guy most often lining up next to him?
It's the guy who smart Colts fans will bring up to impress their friends. Hey, EJ Speed's a pretty good player.
Right.
I mean, you think about, we were having this conversation on the official Colts podcast this week about Darius between myself, Lara Overton, and Casey Valier. And we were talking about Darius and EJ getting these reps during minicamp, during OTAs, and how well he played in Week 16 against Arizona when Darius missed that game when he went on the COVID list. And I looked back to training camp in 2021, and it was like, remember how good EJ was in training camp? Where, every day he was getting his hand on a ball, he was batting something down, he was making a play. And that experience, almost 4 months later, really paid off when EJ was able to step in seamlessly for Darius and play really well against the Cardinals. I think the same thing goes for what EJ Speed will get out of this training camp for however long Darius may be out, that he's just continuing to stack these practices. He's a guy the Colts trust. If he wants it, and that goes for the current coaching staff and the former coaching staff, where if you need to go to EJ Speed as your will linebacker, you trust him because he's got those long arms, he's got good physicality, he's got good speed. He's got kind of the traits you want in that position. And that's something that if the Colts, if Darius's absence does go into the regular season, which right now that's not the expectation from the Colts, but if it does, and you need to hold Darius back a week or two, you trust EJ Speed going in there more than a lot of teams would trust a backup linebacker in that situation. That just speaks to the work that EJ Speed has put in and how this coaching staff views him.
All right, final thing. Most impressive thing about Matt Ryan to you so far has been what, JJ?
How long do I have? Like 5 minutes?
You take as long as you want, buddy. It's all yours.
So, Matt Ryan, the anticipation that you saw him throw with during minicamp, and 7-on-7, and it doesn't get real until the pads go on. I know all that. But watching Matt Ryan anticipate some tight windows and throw some pretty high-velocity passes in there to guys like Paris Campbell, to Nyheim Hines, to Michael Pittman Jr., to Alec Pierce, I really like that. The arm strength, I think a lot of people look at his age and say, all right, he's 37, his skill set is diminished. But if Matt Ryan can throw with anticipation, that's what made Phillip Rivers such a great quarterback in 2020, right? Was he can anticipate those windows, he knew what the defense was doing, and he could get the ball where it needed to be. Matt Ryan can do those things, and he's got a better arm than Phillip Rivers had 2 years ago. So what Frank Reich can do with Matt Ryan in this offense, with his ability to process, to know where to go with the football, because you think about what Frank is so good at, and it is scheming guys. It's not necessarily scheming guys open, but it's getting, it's what Frank said, I think he told this to Albert Breer, where his offense is predicated on if you go through your progressions, someone is going to be open. And Matt Ryan is someone who can go through his progressions. He'll be calm in the pocket and understand how to click through those progressions based on the defense he's facing, because Matt Ryan has faced, pretty much every defense you're going to see, too high, split safety looks, the Vic Fangio type defense, all the way down to the Wink Martindale cover zero blitz defense he'll face in Week 17 with the New York Giants. Like, he's faced all of that. So his ability to process what's in front of him identify where to go with the football, and then have the physical skills to get the ball there is going to be really, really neat to see. And then beyond all that, the leadership, the professionalism, just listen to Jim Irsay talk about it, listen to Frank Reich, Chris Ballard, how much they have been blown away by how just on it Matt Ryan has been in the building. You know, I remember something Mo Alley Cox told us during the offseason program, that he'll be walking down the hallway and Matt Ryan will pass him and Matt will stop and be like, hey, all right,
yeah.
we're running this yeah, you remember this. We're running this concept and they're playing this defense. Where am I going with the ball, and when are you going to be in the progression? And like those little things, just like Matt Ryan is always thinking about this stuff. And it's so neat to see that and hear that from players, just the impact he's making. And again, you know, let's see how it goes in training camp. But you hear the early returns about Matt Ryan around the building, and man, it is just this bullishness that the Colts have about their chances of Matt Ryan has only grown, you know, since the start of the offseason program from phase 1 all the way to the end of minicamp last week.
Catches work every day. Colts.com, JJ Stankovich. Buddy, thanks for the time on short notice. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you do get some downtime coming up. And when training camp actually rolls around, not in my own mind, I'll look forward to seeing you in Westfield coming up soon.
Looking forward to sweating to the oldies out there with you, Greg.
You got it, buddy. JJ Stankovich joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We'll take this quick time out. Your phone calls, your tweets, your emails. Will Haskett to kick off the 5 o'clock hour. Greg Rakestraw in for JMV, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Still looking for a Father's Day present for dear old dad? Get him tickets to A Night in the Fan Cave. Find details at 1075thefan.com/events. Use promo code DADBOD together in all caps for a discount.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, June 15th, we're running a one-day only special. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy, clinically proven to open up and repair blood vessels. 60 clinical studies now say this technology can get rid of your erectile dysfunction without pills. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that produces powerful results in the bedroom. And today only, we're offering 4 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, and it's only good today, Wednesday, June 15th. Worth almost $1,000, but call today and it's totally free. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and restore those intimate moments. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 317-552-1111.
Hi, I'm Beth Kaiser, president of Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, presenting sponsor of the Indiana Sports Corp Corporate Challenge, August 20th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Corporate Challenge is a fun company outing that helps enhance your organization's culture. Team building is a benefit that will carry over to the workplace as your employees compete with other businesses and fun events like a 5K, cycling, tug of war, cornhole, and more. Be a part of the 2022 Corporate Challenge. Learn more at indianasportscorp.org.
As a contractor installing windows, you deserve a simple choice. Andersen 400 Series windows. They're the cladwood windows contractors trust the most. So much so, they're the windows contractors trust for their own homes. And they even have fewer callbacks for extra peace of mind. When it comes to windows, the choice is simple. It's Andersen 400 Series windows. The windows contractors trust the most. Request a quote at AndersonWindows.com today.
Claims based on 2022 Andersen brand survey of U.S. contractors.
Realizing Geico's great service and licensed agents are available at your fingertips is like realizing the plastic piece that comes with your pizza isn't a tiny doll table. It's to keep the box from touching the pizza.
Hey, the pizza's stuck to the box. Where's that little plastic thing?
Dolly needed it for her tea party.
It's something that's been right there in front of you all along, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly, or how your smartphone charges faster when you put it on airplane mode.
Wow, what if I put it on rocket mode?
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico's industry-leading app lets you pay your bill, file a claim, manage your policy, or summon help when you need it. Or how those holes in your shower caddy are there so you can store your shampoo bottles upside down.
Showers happen fast when you're not waiting on shampoo.
Great service. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
Sunny
What will put you and your love on Cloud 9 this June? It's Diamonds Direct's most amazing offer this year. Right now, for a limited time on any purchase, get the best price, pay nothing down, and get 5 years zero-interest financing. If you've been swooning over that $5,000 designer ring, right now it's only $85 a month. $3,000 diamond studs, just $50 a month, and they're yours. Don't miss this special limited-time financing event exclusively at Diamonds Direct. Get details and more at diamondsdirect.com. On approved credit.
This is a call to the self-starters, to the self-made, and the self-sufficient. It's time to declare a new kind of independence, because Edelman Financial Engines is here to provide tailored investment solutions for your kind of wealthy. You should expect more from your wealth advisors. Our investment management approach is based on Nobel Prize-winning research, and our planners don't sell products to earn commissions. And because we're here for those who question the answers, we model more than 38,000 securities so we can better stress test your portfolio through thousands of scenarios. So no matter where you're going next, see what we can build for you. Call 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com to get your complimentary financial plan. Edelman Financial Engines. Built for those who built themselves.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Fog, drain, putting a damper on your day? Call the experts at LD Smith Plumbing. Not only are we water's boss, we are the masters of muck, the sleuths of the sludge. We'll sniff out the clog and snuff it out at the source. Plumbing may not be pretty, but we're pretty darn good at it. Call today to schedule your $83 drain clearing, guaranteed to work, or it's free.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Buy 4 Ultimate Washes and get 2 free is back at Crew Car Wash. Wash books make great gifts for Dad this Father's Day. Available online and all Crew Car Wash locations.
The IHSAA Baseball State Finals. Coverage begins Friday night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I am in the parking lot right now, hammering a bacon, egg, and cheese, hold the cheese, in preparation to go deep with 4 hits and put on a laser show to the likes of which you have never witnessed in your entire life.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride without JMV for 1 more hour. He is back tomorrow. Always happy to keep the seat warm for him, even though JMV hates a warm seat. Like, literally, and he knows I do this anyway. Like, I will sit in all 3 chairs in the last hour when I know he's going to be here. Like, if I'm filling in for Dan and he's here at 3, I will rotate the 3 different chairs that I sit in during the course of the show. So wherever he sits, little swampy wherever he's going to sit, because we're friends and that's what friends do. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Again, hit me up on Twitter at Greg Rakestraw. Email the program, greg@1070thefan.com, or simply dial us up, 317-239-1070. Scott Agnes has been on the show, Fieldhouse Files, Bob Herrig of SI.com, talking U.S. Open, talking LIV Golf, talking, PGA Tour. And because we're kind of up against it time-wise, not from the segment, but, as a courtesy, when you have guests on, you kind of say, hey, is there a particular time you need to be out by? And Bob said 4:20. And so I didn't have a chance to kind of ask a follow-up question to the last thing I asked him. And that was the one thing that I talked about related to the U.S. Open when it came to LIV Golf players was, what was the reaction of fans going to be to a Phil Mickelson, to Dustin Johnson, to Patrick Reed, to Bryson DeChambeau. And Bryson was a guy that would draw some boos or not exactly the same level of cheers as others in the past. And he said, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Bob knows a lot. Bob's forgotten more about golf than I'll ever know in terms of covering it, the personalities, etc. I would beg to differ. And again, maybe I'm wrong, and we're going to learn tomorrow. But I got a feeling that again, the U.S. Open, as I labeled it, both in terms of the playing, the way to play yourself into the tournament, as well as oftentimes the crowd that is there tends to be the most democratic of golf tournaments. PGA Championship crowds can kind of get after it too. Clearly nothing like that would happen at Augusta. And I don't, maybe I'm misreading what the crowd at St. Andrews is going to be like a few weeks from now, but I would think there's a little bit more prim and proper respect for the game, if you will, as I do some sort of weird continental accent there to talk about it. So I was going for upper middle class twit of the year on that. I'm sorry. But anyway, I kind of think that the fans in Boston will be like your cousin from Boston and have a Sam Adams or three, and they will let people have it that they think are doing something that is potentially unpatriotic, or if they feel the way that I do about where that money is coming from the LIV Tour. And there will be some that will still cheer them and make a point to cheer them, and that is frankly their right to do so. But I do think that some guys that are going, I can't turn down this money, damn the consequences, damn the torpedoes, are going to go, damn, those people were really yelling at me and saying things that were worse than me saying damn 4 times in the span of about 30 seconds on local sports talk radio. I kind of get the feeling that's how that's going to play out. I could be wrong. Just thought I would double back to that, knowing that our next conversation will be more about the sport of golf as well, because Will Haskett, the pride of Indianapolis, the pride of North Central High School, and these days you catch him on the Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio, not to mention ESPN Plus when it comes to their coverage of the PGA Tour golf. I'm sure he's got a thing or 3 to say about this, and he will join us next. And at some point, we'll actually talk about the U.S. Open itself, because there are guys from this area that are playing in the tournament. We'll talk more about that, more Pacers draft, more Khari Willis news, just more of everything as the 5 o'clock hour comes your way next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, another 500 is in the books, so let's look at the June checklist. Colts draft? Check. Pacers didn't make the playoffs? Check. The race is over? Check. Now back to the speculation, conjecture, and rumors.
I hear Shade and Sharp. I've never seen the guy other than YouTube clips.
With the 6th pick, the Indiana Pacers select.
Find out June 23rd with the NBA Draft on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The housing market has started to cool, but inventory is still low and homes are selling fast. We need to get you pre-approved today. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
NMLS number 1326-241.
Hey, it's JMV here for John and Chris Love. That's Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141. I would not trust anybody else with my cool and comfort in-house and making sure that my system is running efficiently. If you feel as if yours isn't, 353-2141. Get that checkup from John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air, making sure it doesn't cost you money and you remain cool and comfortable. Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com today.
Hey, tennis fans, with the BetRivers.com sportsbook app, you can smash, slice, and spin your way to big tennis paydays. That's because we're serving up the excitement of live in-game betting, where you can bet on all the action, including point-by-point betting from tournaments around the world. Plus, with BetRivers' award-winning customer service, it's game, set, and match. Download the BetRivers.com sportsbook app. It's a whole new game.
Must be 21. Must be located in Indiana. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
O'Reilly. Stay cool this summer with AC Pro Refrigerant and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate, plus earn double O Rewards points with the purchase of select AC Pro Refrigerant products. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro Refrigerant at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've been talking about the ring. Awesome. So what's next? Come see us at Chain Company and we'll figure it out together. If you know what engagement ring style you want, you're ahead of the game. And if you don't have a clue, no worries. We have tons of new styles and designs in every price range. Same with the Centerstone. We've got a massive selection of diamonds, all shapes, sizes, and prices. Or maybe you want something colorful like a ruby or a sapphire. We have those too. Hand selected for their beauty and brilliance by Tom Shane himself. We want this to be fun and easy for you guys. Our jewelry consultants don't work on commission, so it's a different kind of vibe here. No one's going to push you to make a decision. You already made one of the biggest decisions of your life. And one more thing, Shane Company offers a free lifetime warranty that even covers the center stone. When it comes to having your jewelry taken care of, you're set for life. By the way, congratulations.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Sip and save at Circle K with our great new drink subscription. Join Sip and Save today and enjoy one drink a day every day for just $5.99 a month. Enjoy your favorite Circle K ice-cold fountain drink, Froster, or freshly ground coffee every day. That's 30 drinks a month for only $5.99. So sip and save at Circle K. Sign up in-store or at CircleK.com. Circle K. Take it easy.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com. Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models, non-transferable or available on leases. Copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. Mark Deedle Realty. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdeedle.com. That's markdeedl.com today. So let's talk about Chris from Noblesville. They were ready to upgrade to a newly built home. They hired Mark Deedle and asked him to maximize the current home price so they could afford their new home. Mark gave them a plan to get the most money possible, and he pushed the price hard to get them $15,000 over a high asking price and plenty of time to get into their new home. Mark Deedle has a guarantee for you. Multiple offers on your home in 3 days, or he is going to list it for free. That's Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. MarkDeedle.com. That's MarkDietel.com today.
Kick off summer with Customer Appreciation Week at Sundown Gardens. Save 20% on everything retail at Sundown Gardens all week. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundownGardens.com.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Thursday on Kevin and Query, Scott Agnes previews the NBA Draft. Will Haskett previews the U.S. Open and more vacation recommendations for Kevin. Fun starts at 7.
The Ride with JMV.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberry.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Eddie, do you have any idea what movie that was from? Any clue whatsoever?
I could not tell you the movie now.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Worth your time. Really worth your time to go watch it at some point in time. My daughter is in studio. She's all of 11. I will make her watch that movie at some point. Now is not that. We're about 3 or 4 years away from introducing that into the lexicon. Maybe, and she says not a chance. You're not like you have a choice in the matter. You're watching that movie whether you want to or not. Dang it. On that note, let's see if Will Haskett is as good of a father as I apparently am not, as he joins us now on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Greg. I have my 11-year-old in my sights with his best friend and their 2 younger siblings, and we are post-Butler basketball camping it in the pool right now. So I'm lifeguarding while you are forcing Monty Python to your 11-year-old. So this is the time of year for any of us in the biz where we're pulling like triple duty. It's like, how can we integrate our children into our world? And as someone who's been on the road the last couple of weeks covering golf, you know what? I didn't have a choice today. It's like, hey, you're picking up from camp and you're supervising this play date. So here we are. So if I run in the middle of this interview, it's because someone's in the deep end and they shouldn't be.
I understand. If I hear like this, just like this gulp sound, the phone made it to the pool. So I understand completely. All right. First of all, I want to make sure I'm giving you the proper attribution. I've been dropping ESPN Plus. I've been dropping Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio. Are there any other golf attributions I need to give you before we get to the crux of the conversation?
That's about right. I mean, PGA Tour Radio live coverage. You'll hear me on talk shows, and I was doing PGA Tour live last week for ESPN Plus, and I mean we can plug the book too out this fall, The Science of Golf. I mean, if we just want to go ahead and hit for the cycle in this interview, we can. But yeah, it's anything and everything golf. I think people have forgotten now that A, I live here in Indy, and B, that I've called a lot of other sports because golf guy seems to really fit right now.
And golf is in vogue, whether it's for good news or not. So let's again, because you're so plugged in, because you're out there on a weekly basis, when did the rumblings of this Saudi-backed golf league of LIV Golf and Greg Norman, et cetera, when did this really start to percolate kind of on the tour on a regular basis?
Well, I think those of us in the industry have been aware of the concept of what LIV Golf has become for the last 2 years, really. So there was this idea of what's called the Premier Golf League, and there's actually a businessman in London named Andy Gardner. And now we're just going to go totally off the rails here, Greg. I mean, I can answer this question in 10 minutes. And he had the idea for what is effectively an elite series that has a team aspect to it, blah, 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 blah. But he really couldn't entice players because even with decent businessmen and hedge fund money and everything like that, you didn't have the unlimited pocketbooks that the Saudi Arabian government has in their PIF fund. And so that kind of died a little bit. And then all of a sudden the Saudis were like, you know what, let's just go ahead and create this thing on our own. Let's find somebody who we can pay and be the face of it. It becomes Greg Norman. And it's a bottomless supply of cash. And so, it is totally sports washing like they've done in other sports. The idea is not necessarily to make a good sports product. It's to simply make a sports product. And right now it is so lucrative for some of these big names who can make 10, 20 times what they make in an already, I would consider it to be profitable sport for them, that it's making guys sort of make that choice. And the last week has been crazy. We've got more defections probably coming after this United States Open. And, you can say people are taking the moral ground versus the capitalistic high ground. You can talk about quality of competition. I think there's a lot of rightful arguments that go into it. And it's a really difficult, pivotal time for the sport. I thought last week was pretty sad. I was broadcasting with a bunch of former tour players, and there was sort of a fog hanging over us because it's really uncertain. And when you have a powerful entity that has as deep a pockets as these guys do, this isn't something that's going away. So we're going to have to deal with this for a long time, and it could honestly splinter the sport. And, I don't think it's apples to apples like we saw in IndyCar and kart and the IRL years ago, but I feel kind of the same way. Like, in my personal opinion, as a born and raised Indy native, I don't really think that sport that I grew up loving has ever really returned to the same sport that it was pre-split. And maybe the split had to do what it had to do, but I think we're at the cusp of that with golf, where if this doesn't work itself out somewhat amicably, then who knows what the sport looks like in a couple of years.
Again, to me, because of where the money is coming from the LIV Golf Tour, it is next to impossible for the PGA Tour to look like the bad guy in any scenario. But what mistakes, if any, were made that the PGA Tour could have, should have seen coming that potentially could have kind of, held this off? Is there anything they could have done for it to not get to this point?
Sure, they could have built they could have built a product that catered more to the top talent. They could strip down their schedule, create more marquee events, find ways to funnel money to their most marketable players, and not create sort of this trickle down, professional meritocracy that is sport, and really just protect your best players, even the ones that are on the backside of their career. I mean, no one's made the jump yet that's a marquee name, maybe the exception of Bryson DeChambeau, although he's shown that he is now human in terms of his physical deterioration over the last year or so. No one's really made a jump that I would say is on the way up or at the peak of their powers right now. It's a lot of guys who are like, maybe I don't have what it takes to be viable for the next 5 or 10 years, and I'll take the cash payout right now. So could the tour have found ways to give those guys more money? Yes. Could they have been more inventive in their structure? Yes. Could they have streamlined their product a little bit? Yes. But I'll say this about the tour. I think that they have an admirable business model. It may not be something that survives in the modern landscape of sport, where we're seeing more and more top athletes want to be paid and compensated appropriately to what their value is. But the PGA Tour is sticking to its guns. They're sticking to these community-run tournaments, to a charitable arm aspect, to the idea of pumping up all of this structure and support that gives players at the lower levels a pathway to the PGA Tour. And it's true competition. I mean, for the most part, you can play your way into a PGA Tour event with no status on a Monday win and change your life. Like, LIV Golf doesn't offer that. LIV Golf wants only the best. And to be honest, they're going to start jettisoning players if they get more stuff. And then where does that leave those guys? So I think there's an aspirational element to the tour that they're really fighting for right now. But to the point of your question, that doesn't satisfy the Dustin Johnsons of the world who are like, you know what, I'm in my late 30s and I've lost a little speed on my fastball, and maybe I haven't been compensated enough, and I'm going to jump on $125 million guaranteed.
I asked this question to Bob Herrig. I was talking about it kind of, in the last segment leading up to you, as someone that has walked a lot of fairways on the PGA Tour. Let me throw this at you. The reaction to those that have already announced or played in the LIV Golf event last weekend. What is the crowd reaction going to be like when they are hitting a shot, when their names are called in the first or 10th tee the next couple of days? What are you expecting to hear from golf fans in the Northeast?
I think there will be boos, but I think the boos will be very minimal. And by that I mean, when was the last time Phil Mickelson was ever booed?
Right.
So if 10% of the crowd boos him, that's 10% more than would have booed him in this tournament had he not joined LIV. But it's not going to be this crazy negative reaction, because I think to the average golf fan who especially goes to these tournaments, they just want to see a golf tournament. They want to see individuals play. And many of them, quite frankly, are just now becoming aware of everything that's going on. I mean, when all of a sudden, my mother-in-law is asking about LIV Golf, it's like, well, okay, this has obviously penetrated a consciousness that is far deeper than within my own sport, or maybe even within the sports landscape in general. So I think that the reception won't be nearly as bad on them as it is from their peers, from the media, and from other places that recognize the rift that this is creating and the potential ramifications down the road. So I think, to that point, I think golf fans just want to show up and be entertained and watch good golf. The question is, will any of those LIV guys be the ones that are providing good golf? Because last week was not a compelling golf tournament that they played in London compared to the Canadian Open, which on Sunday was must-watch golf television.
And I would think that, again, it almost I just flip it around and maybe watch 30 minutes of it. It happened to be right around 5:30 as that tournament ended seemingly a little bit early before the 6 o'clock window was about to expire. And I'm sitting there looking at Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Tony Finau, and I'm like, I hope one of them has like the sense as like this kind of moment of solidarity for the PGA Tour. Like literally all three of you on the green, like put your arms around each other and take a picture. Like that was like the perfect PR moment for the PGA Tour. Hey, guys want to leave? Great. Here's what we have left. It's a pretty marketable core we've got, and let's go forward. So now let me get into kind of more golf nerd stuff. Has there been any sort of way of trying to figure out, okay, if you win something on the LIV Golf Tour, how that affects your world golf ranking, because that's how you get into 4 different majors? Have we gotten that far in this scenario yet?
No, there are no points. There is a partnership between the LIV Golf Tour and the Asian Tour, because the Saudi Arabians have invested $300 million to pump up some of the purses on the Asian Tour, which does get world golf ranking points. But any startup tour, there's typically a 2-year waiting point in the first place to apply and get world golf ranking recognition. And the world golf ranking folks are revising their system. So it's kind of perfect timing for this to be a litmus test, if you will, of if they're going to get awards. But based off of their past, I don't think they really want to be associated with giving world ranking points to a tour that has 54-hole, not 72-hole events.
Right.
And no cut also. There's no cuts in these events. So you can finish dead last, 48th place, which by the way pays like $115,000, which is crazy to finish dead last in a no-cut event and get paid 6 figures, and then also earn points, theoretically speaking. So I think there's going to have to be an adjustment there. But right now, there's no short-term pathway to these events getting world golf ranking points. I don't think they'll get world golf ranking points through the rest of the year. So unless these guys who have decided to jump ship play well in the majors that they're already eligible into, their ranking is going to plummet by January 1 of next year. And it could take longer than that for this whole thing to litigate out. And that becomes a real issue, because if they don't have a pathway to any major golf championship, and that might get pulled next year, if you're reading the tea leaves of maybe what Augusta might do. Mike Wan today, who's the new head of the USGA, shortly said, I think it was a one-word yes response to a question of, is it going to be hard for LIV guys to have a pathway back to this U.S. Open? And he said, yes. And then walked it back a little bit later. But again, if these guys aren't getting starts and all they're playing for is effectively cash grab exhibitions, those are kind of the PGA Tour's words, not my words, but I believe them, then Dustin Johnson could be outside the top 50 in the world in a couple of months' time because of his divisor and how that whole thing works out. So there is no pathway right now to get points, at least I think the rest of this calendar year, which is really problematic for those guys that jump ship.
Who is going to be the face of this? And I don't mean like in a good way, like who's going to be the best player on the LIV Golf Tour? No, I mean, who is going to be the guy that gets the biggest blowback, the biggest pushback, the guy that is viewed as the chief villain of this LIV Golf scenario, experiment, tour, what have you?
Well, I mean, they've taken pretty much every villain and given them guaranteed money. So, I mean, the tour's got Patrick Reed, Bryson DeChambeau, Ian Poulter. I mean, you name it in terms of villainy in the sport, whether it's nemesis the United States in Ryder Cup or polarizing figure who's changing the sport with his strength or guy who happens to be caught in some sort of cheating allegation every 6 months. You can connect the dots to which three of those were and the three that I just gave you. I think they've got a lot of guys who bring attention, and that's what this is. It's an entertainment product. To bring Bryson DeChambeau said it yesterday. He goes, he thinks that the value in this, and again, these are all talking points. I don't really think these guys 100% believe this. They're just not saying, I took the money and ran. But he's talking about being a part of a greater entertainment product. It's why he's gotten into long drive and other things that fascinate him. So I think it's Bryson because he's the only guy you can really say that has gone so far that is a household golf name who is also still, quote-unquote, in his prime. So you need that guy to be the one winning, hitting huge drives, all of this stuff, I think, for this tour to go. But again, like, who knows who the next wave of guys are to sign up for it? I mean, there's been a lot of smoke around a lot of guys that I think are marquee enough names that they could drive this tour for the next 2 or 3 years.
Again, Will Haskett, Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio, ESPN Plus, covers the PGA Tour. And upcoming this fall, here's your Triple Crown, The Science of Golf. Yes, he's going to be an author now, joining us here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. All right, let's get to actually talking about the U.S. Open. It's a 154-something player event. I hate when I ask you, hey, pick a favorite for me. But whether it's Rory coming off of what he did last week, somebody that fits the course well, just a hunch, give me a name or two that they are on your radar heading into the first tee tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the best player in the world right now, and it's hard to say because he got beat last week head-to-head by Rory, but just given the fact that Rory McIlroy hasn't been able to string together 72 holes in majors, and the last guy to do it has proven that again, is Justin Thomas. I mean, he's got all the shots. He can put the ball in play off the tee with plenty of length. He's just is a great all-around player. So I think he has to be the favorite, but then you're also saying you're going to see a guy go back-to-back in majors, which is hard to do. So that's an easy answer. We haven't seen the best of Jon Rahm this year. I've said all along that Jon Rahm's probably the best-suited player to play U.S. Opens because of the way he drives the ball and some of the intangibles, but those have been a little bit weak this year. I still just kind of like him as a fit to the style of the tournament. And then I've got my eyes on two guys that haven't won majors, and that's Tony Finau and Xander Schauffele. I think that this golf course this week, the Country Club at Brookline, is really going to demand excellence off the tee. And both of those guys find fairways with an above-average length, and they've proven themselves, I think, in these big, hard tournaments. So if you're looking for guys off of the status quo of a JT, Rory, Rahm, then it's Xander Schauffele and Tony Finau. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I mean, there's some off-the-radar guys that I think I'm still probably putting in my top 10 that maybe golf fans wouldn't know, a Davis Riley or a Cameron Young or some of these guys that have sort of flashed over the last couple of months. And let's be honest, you got to be playing pretty good golf to show up. You're not going to fake it and show up to a U.S. Open and play well.
All right, so I realize I'm asking you this in your poolside at Indianapolis, not, greenside at Brookline. But whenever we have a U.S. Open, it always seems like we say, okay, even par is where we start. Does it get better than that? Does it get worse than that? Any idea without having set foot on the course what you think a winning score at this event might be this week?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to plenty of my peers there. I've even texted with a few players, and it's hard. It's a hard golf course, as we would expect from the U.S. Open. It's getting bouncy. It's getting firm. Some of the rough around the greens is just comical in terms of how difficult it is. Wind is always the biggest factor. That can change from day to day. The weather forecast looks to be pretty good. I think they'll have control of the golf course. So, yeah, I'd say even par is a good score. I think some players have been on the record of saying they take 2 or 3 under par right now and sit there on Sunday and see if that's good enough. But, I think there's one day where there's a chance of rain. We're one rainstorm away from softening the golf course. We're one day without the winds that they forecasted away from giving guys a better opportunity. But, yeah, it's the U.S. Open. The USGA wants even par to be a good score. So if the weather cooperates the way that I think it will, then the U.S. Open has control of this golf course, and even par will be a good score.
Everybody in the pool okay. Have you felt the need to leave the conversation at any point in time?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we got them all. They're all above water right now. Yes, they are.
Then that makes this a very successful interview. As always, thanks for the time, the insights, and the passion. We'll do this in person at some point in time soon. Take care. We'll talk in a bit.
Hey, shout out to Garen. One-shot win in the IHSAA Boys Golf State Championship today, huh? I mean, those guys having to go through 2 days of playing in that weather, Greg. I mean, that's my hat's off to them.
By the way, have Gutierrez and Ford settled their playoff yet, or are they still going at this point? I
don't know. Need to check. He'd have to get off the phone with you. Gutierrez, you saw him at the Dye Junior up there at Crooked Stick. I mean, he's just a sophomore, right, at Valpo. I mean, you talk about that guy's got an incredible future in front of him. Really excited to watch how his career develops to be another guy out of the state of Indiana, which we're pretty well represented on tour right now. I mean, it's fun to bump into Tyler Duncan and Adam Schenk, and Patrick Rogers is healthy and playing well again. So it could be fun to have another guy from Indiana. Hey, Bo Van Pelt even he had a good week last week trying to ride his way into PGA Tour champion. So, yeah, it's been fun. So I'm curious to watch that kid's his career go in front of him because it's off to a heck of a start.
By the way, I got this on Twitter from 3 minutes ago from Cal Nenrip on the third playoff hole. Aiden Gutierrez wins, beating Ryan Ford. So Gutierrez, your individual state champion, the sophomore from Valparaiso High School. Thanks, buddy.
See you, bud.
You got it. Will Haskett joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Now, what Will was kind enough to reference for me, I was on the call of the Dye Junior Invitational last Tuesday. In fact, you heard me on with JMV like about 15 minutes later than I normally would on that Tuesday because I had just did like 5 hours and 15 minutes of straight golf on television. At Augusta National, they have like 2 minutes of commercials every hour. I had 1 minute of commercials for 5 hours and 15 minutes. I may not be in shape, but my bladder is made of iron when it comes to broadcasting an event like that. But that event is 33 of the top junior golfers in the country. Had some international players in it, too, on both the boys and girls side. So 66 players in total. The two boys players from the state of Indiana, Aiden Gutierrez, Ryan Ford. Gutierrez of Valparaiso, Ford of Cathedral. Gutierrez is a sophomore. Ford is a senior. He's going to play at the University of Cincinnati. They were able to play in this event because it happened on a Monday and Tuesday, and it was between their sectional and regionals. So, yeah, a little bit different that you can play in a junior event around the team state tournament. The Gutierrez kid finished like top 5, top 6 in that event and 3 strokes off the lead. In other words, he very much has a national kind of profile from a recruiting standpoint. Well, that young man just won an individual golf state championship. And yes, on conditions that were beyond brutal the last couple of days. He had to play 39 holes to get the job done, but that he did. Congratulations. And the team championship went down to a stroke that I think was won, I believe, by Garin Catholic over Westfield by a shot. Nothing like scrolling through Twitter live on the air to make sure that you get it right. Garin wins by a stroke over Westfield. There you go. All right, so rest of the show is you and me. You got something you want to say? Now's the time. Thank you, Scott Agnes. You want to talk Pacers draft? Dial me up, 317-239-1070. Bob Herrig, Will Haskett, SI.com, Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio. You want to talk LIV Golf? You want to talk U.S. Open? You want to talk PGA Tour? At Greg Rakestraw on Twitter. You want to talk Colts? We had J.J. Stankovitz on talking about Khari Willis moving on from the National Football League, retiring after 3 years. We can talk about that, too. All the ways that I have mentioned all day long are available. It's you and me to wrap up the show. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, June 15th, we're running a one-day only special. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy, clinically proven to open up and repair blood vessels. 60 clinical studies now say this technology can get rid of your erectile dysfunction without pills. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that produces powerful results in the bedroom. And today only, we're offering 4 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, and it's only good today, Wednesday, June 15th. Worth almost $1,000, but call today and it's totally free. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and restore those intimate moments. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 317-552-1111.
Hey, it's JMV at Race Trash Service. They're all about protecting the environment while bringing cost savings to you. Natural resources are going up in price, and landfill space is disappearing. So Rays is committed to preserving the Hoosier environment and serving Central Indiana with efficient, cost-effective, and responsible waste removal and recycling solutions. They're one of the largest recyclers in the state of Indiana with customer rebates on paper, cardboard, and so much more. Visit raystrash.com to see how they can bring recycling solutions to your organization.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a lounge singer to be their office receptionist.
Hello, this is Mickey Marquis, and you've reached the office of Doug & Associates. Thank you very much. Catch me Tuesday nights at the Hotel Johnson. Hello?
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Doug & Associates, this is Mickey Marquis. Hello?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
And now it's Geico's Motorcycle Rules of the Road. Avoid biking in the rain and never touch another person's bike.
Hey guys, look at these bikes. So shiny. Whoops. I'm gonna leave a note. Oh gosh, there's more.
And the rule to saving on motorcycle insurance is, in 15 minutes, Geico could save you 15% or more.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. Mark Deedle Realty. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdeedle.com. That's markdeedel.com. Today. So, how about Eddie in Mooresville? He wanted to sell his rental property to maximize the equity now in case prices start to cool. He heard about Mark Deedle on the radio and hired him. Everything he claims on the radio is absolutely true. Mark is smart and aggressive. He gave him multiple offers on that home in days, and they had it sold in 2 weeks for the high price that he wanted. Mark Deedle has a guarantee for you. Multiple offers on your home in 3 days, or he is going to list it for free. That's Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. MarkDeedle.com. That's MarkDietel.com today.
The largest bourbon event in Indiana is back. Big Red Liquor's Bourbon Expo and Rare Bourbon Lottery is Saturday, July 9th, 1 to 4 at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Tickets on sale now for 400 plus bourbons to sample, plus Rare Bourbon Lottery. Get your tickets now, BigRedLiquors.com. Must be 21 to enter.
So, my husband wants tickets to the Fan Cave for Father's Day. What is it?
Glad you asked. It's Kevin and Query, Dan Dockich, and JMV together on one stage. That's the official answer. Dan?
We're going to be scratching and burping, and...
Hey, pull my finger.
And there it is.
It'll be the best party you go to all summer. Food, drinks, and a great show all at the Indiana Historical Society. A night in the Fan Cave brought to you by Forum Credit Union. Tickets and details at 1075thefan.com. The Ride with JMV.
Bullish Brand's hanging and banging with you until the 8 o'clock hour. Coming up, we have artists such as Living Color and the Fine Young Cannibals right now. Here's Roxette, The Look, 89.9 WROL.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Every time I hear that, I wonder, there are tapes of me anywhere that would exist from 88.7 WICR? I don't have the chance to, sling it to the, the hits of the day, like late 80s, early 90s JMV did. Nah, man, I was pitching to cool jazz on 88.7 WICR. Now, see, when Eddie was there, he would say things like The Diamond. That didn't exist when I was there. It was just 88.7. It was Arts and Information Radio is what we would call it, 88.7 WICR. The 30,000-watt voice of the University of Indianapolis. It's where I learned about Wes Montgomery and Chick Corea and all kind of other great jazz artists. And I got to play Wayman Tisdale's Jazz and You back in the day. Left-handed bass player, God rest his soul. The We Got Wayman #2 draft pick of the Indiana Pacers back in 1985. Open phone lines the rest of the way. You got something you want to say? Now's the time. 317-239-1070 at Greg Rakestraw on Twitter, or email the program, greg@1070thefan.com. That is what Brandon has done, and let me respond to his email now. Hey, Greg, love listening to you. Thank you, Brandon. Wanted to ask, in your opinion, what would you consider a successful Colts season this year? Keep up the great work. Well, what I consider a successful Colts season and what the team would consider a successful Colts season are two completely different things. For me, win the AFC South. You haven't done that in way too long. You do that, you get a home playoff game, regardless what your record is going to be. Win said home playoff game, which is clearly something the Colts not been able to do in terms of winning a playoff game, now dating back for 4 years? After the 2018 season, beating the Texans in the playoffs was the last time the Colts were able to win a playoff game. And so you have a 4-year gap. When that's the case, that's what, to me, makes it a successful season. But you have to remember that's a media person's opinion, okay? I think I'm pretty knowledgeable as media people go, but I'm also knowledgeable enough to acknowledge that's not how the guys in the locker room think, okay? There are maybe a handful of 32 teams that know going into the season, hey, man, we ain't winning the Super Bowl this year. But I would say that the vast majority of NFL teams, let's even say vast, let's say at least more than half, because 14 teams out of 32 make the playoffs, right? And the idea, the mantra is, hey, if we're in, we have a chance to win it, right? And that's fair. We've seen 6 seeds over the years win Super Bowls. The New York Giants of 2007 that beat the then undefeated New England Patriots immediately come to mind. Let's face it, the Colts team that won it here, they were a division champion, but we'll tell you, hey, listen, the 06 team won it. The 05 team was better. Maybe the 07 team was better as well. You get in, you give yourself a shot. So if there's 14 playoff spots, there's probably 25 teams that think they can be a playoff team. They're all thinking about winning a Super Bowl. So if you ask Colts players, that's what their answer would be. And frankly, in this question, Brandon, their answer is much more important than mine. If you ask what I think is a good season for this team, win the AFC South, okay? And that's not just coach speak. There is logic in terms of, hey, you win your division, you get to host at least a playoff game. You host a playoff game, you think you should win that playoff game. Now you get to the Final Four in each conference, and now you're having a different conversation. So my thought, that's it. The guys in the locker room, they would say, win the Super Bowl. That and frankly, that's the answer I want them giving. Even if they were a team that was 9-8 and didn't make the playoffs last year. That's the answer I want them to give. JJ has dialed us up at 317-239-1070. Hello, JJ.
JMV, how you been, sir?
Well, it's not JMV, it's Greg. We kind of sound alike, but it's good to hear from you anyway, JJ. How you doing?
Good. Hey, I listen to the show every time on my way back home to Muncie, home of the Ball State Cardinals. Chirp, chirp. Let's go, Cubs. And just calling in, I appreciate you, Greg Rakestraw. That's it. Greg
yes,
Rakestraw.
Sir. Close enough.
I appreciate you. Question here. I don't know if you heard about the little back and forth that Draymond Green had with many people, but this person in specific, Kendrick Perkins, how he called Kendrick Perkins' wife a dime piece, and he had to pay for his wife. And Kendrick Perkins came back, and he told him, hey, I've been with the same woman, married. We've been together since 10th grade. A lot of beef going on there. I don't know if you heard about that, them going back and forth, but that doesn't seem like a cat you need to be messing with at 6'10", maybe 300 by now. And Draymond needs to just shut up and play.
I have not been keeping up with that scenario, JJ, and thank you for the phone call. I go back and forth on Draymond Green. Like, for example, I saw this clip on social media yesterday, and I forget who brought it up, where he actually looked at a reporter's credential and said, hey, I wanted to say that I appreciate the fact that, I saw on your timeline or I saw on your feed that, when I was asked about Kevin Durant, you made it a point to say, I'm not just randomly talking about Kevin Durant or trying to have a beef with Kevin Durant, that a reporter asked me about Kevin Durant, so I gave an answer about Kevin Durant. You can argue that, focus on the job at hand, focus on winning one more game tomorrow night, and you will once again be an NBA world champion. I also tend to think about it this way. He's been in the league, 10, 11, 12 years now? He's been a part of how many championship teams? And is he the best player? No. Is he the second best player? Probably not. Is he the third best player? Maybe Wiggins or Poole has supplanted that. But has he been an integral part of winning multiple NBA championships? Absolutely, he has been. Do you say anything about somebody you have a beef with, wife? No, that's not cool, man. There are certain lines you don't cross, and that is one of them. And he might be writing some checks that his backside might have to cash at some point in time if he and Kendrick Perkins get together. I tend not to be I'm not a first take guy, so I understand that Kendrick Perkins is on there a lot. I tend to be, actually having a job between 10 and noon, and so I don't tend to watch the show all that much. But no, man, if you got to promise somebody, that's not the way you go about it. In terms of Draymond, I kind of go back and forth on him. I never want to be, as a media guy, someone that criticizes someone that gives an honest opinion. I also tend to know or give respect to somebody that's done this at a high level for the better part of a decade. And I kind of go, well, I'm pretty sure that guy knows what he's doing and knows what it takes to be successful. Because I can point to the rings, I can point to the banners and say, hey, guy kind of knows what he's doing here. I also know that he has set himself up to be a part of the same media landscape that Kendrick Perkins is in. And he does his podcast with Colin Cowherd, right? He is already a media star in addition to being a star player in the NBA. But when his playing days are over, at some point, likely the next 2 to 4 years, dude's going to continue to make bank being a media personality, whether it's in basketball or wherever it may be. So let's put it this way, JJ. I'm not planning on starting a beef with Draymond Green anytime soon. He wants me to host a podcast with him. We have availability on the ISC Sports Network. Tim is up next at 317-239-1070. Hello, Tim.
Hey, how are you?
Good, sir.
Hey, just a quick question. I was curious who you thought would be the number 2 go-to guy. Would it end up being Pierce, or is Paris Campbell that guy? Because I'm still a fan of his. I know he gets hurt, but I'm still there for him.
Does Nyheim Hines count? Can he be the number 2 wide receiver?
I didn't know if you would count him as a wide receiver. I would assume that to be true.
So here's what I think is going to happen. And Tim, stay with me, and you got more to say. Fire away here in a second. But I do think that I almost think the number 2 true wide receiver will be different by formation. In other words, I almost think that Michael Pittman's going to be out there on every formation. Do I think Nyheim Hines will be out there in every formation? No, I do not. Do I think almost any other receivers will be out there on every single formation? Probably not, because you've heard Frank Reich talk so much about these last few years. Hey, we're going to spread the ball around. Well, Pittman's your clear number 1. You're going to have some 2 tight end formations. You're going to have some 2 running back formations. In other words, Pittman's almost going to be like an offensive lineman, not in terms of being a guy that's blocking, but the linemen don't shuffle in and out every play. I don't think Pittman's going to shuffle in and out every play. He's your 1. If you ask me who I think the Colts' second leading receiver is going to be, my answer on that is going to be Nyheim Hines. If you ask me who I think the receiver that will get the second most catches or second most snaps, I'm waiting for people to start to throw things at their car dashboards when I say this. Tim, I think it is going to make you smile. And again, it is the ultimate caveat in terms of if he can stay healthy. But if he does, that guy is Paris Campbell. That's the guy. If he's healthy, he will be given the opportunity to be the true number 2 wide receiver, even though I think he's 3rd or 4th in catches on the team this year. Again, knock on wood, cross your fingers, cross your toes, rub your lucky rabbit's foot that he's able to play a majority of games this year. Tim, what do you think? Anything else?
I'm a big fan of his, so I'm hoping he stays healthy. My last question would be, are they going to sign Hilton, or are they going to bring back anybody that has experience, or do we have what we have?
I think it's largely what they have. I could be wrong about that. I have always thought that if T.Y. Hilton was going to come back, that move would have already been made. And I think that, again, because they feel Hines is going to be an integral part of the attack in terms of catching passes out of the backfield, because of trying to elevate Mo Alley Cox as more of a pass catcher, because of the draft capital they have used at wide receiver in the last 4 years. I mean, think about this. You're talking about Paris Campbell, second round, 2019. Desmond Patman further down the draft in 2020. Mike Pittman, second round, 2020. Mike Strawn deep in the draft last year. Ashton Doolin's going to be on this football team. I just named 6 or 7 kind of pass-catching options there. And I think that if the right veteran's available at the right price, they maybe would look at bringing a guy in. I don't think that happens until into training camp if they don't like the mix of whom they've got now. But, Tim, I kind of think the group that you see now, that's the wide receiver depth chart for this football team.
Yeah, last question / statement. Somebody, and I couldn't watch it, of course, but I was told Pierce caught everything that was thrown to him, so I'm really excited.
The times that I was out there, Tim, I didn't see any balls on the ground when he was around. Put it that way. Tim, thanks for the telephone call. Appreciate you. Let's get to Mike's telephone call next before we get to our next time out. Mike, how you doing?
Okay, it's actually Macho Mike.
Hey, how you doing, friend?
Okay, and keep Teresa in your prayers, and real quickly, just yell, "Hi, Angel."
Hi, Angel. How you doing?
She wiggled her tail. And
good.
NBA, and God bless you. You're still one of my favorite announcers.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You want to talk NBA draft with me?
Yeah, NBA draft. I've heard maybe trade up or trade down.
No, you know what? And Mike, buddy, always good to hear from you, buddy. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Macho Mike Sullivan, everybody. Again, I talked about this yesterday. I think their trade piece is to get more draft picks if they can. Find somebody to want to exchange Malcolm Brogdon for a draft pick, maybe a Miles Turner, maybe a Buddy Hield. But I honestly think they're going to stick at 6 with the idea of they feel they're going to get a really good player. And again, knowing they have not had a player of that caliber they have drafted. You go back to George McLeod in 89. If again, it's kind of semantics. Jonathan Bender was drafted for the Pacers with the 5th pick in 2000. But you get my idea. I think they will look to get more picks if possible, but I don't know if that means trading up or trading back. I tend to think the first player the Pacers will select will be with the 6th pick a week from Thursday. We'll take this quick time out, come back, get some things we haven't gotten to yet, and try to make sense of the last 2 hours and 40 minutes, if that is even possible. Greg Rakestraw in for JMV, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Tune into The Ride with JMV to win tickets from his show to see the Dave Matthews Band live July 24th at Ruoff Music Center.
Sometimes an injury or death happens due to someone else's mistake. Find justice with the injury attorneys at Parr Ritchie at 317-269-2509. PARRinjury.com.
Hi guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, June 15th, we're running a one-day only special. Pine Grove Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy, clinically proven to open up and repair blood vessels. 60 clinical studies now say this technology can get rid of your erectile dysfunction without pills. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that produces powerful results in the bedroom. And today only, we're offering 4 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, and it's only good today, Wednesday, June 15th. Worth almost $1,000, but call today and it's totally free. 317-552-1111. That's 317-552-1111. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and restore those intimate moments. Call Pine Grove Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 317-552-1111.
It's JMV. We're all dealing with rising food and gas prices, so how about a way to lower your monthly expenses? Forum Credit Union offers insurance services for your home, car, personal, and business needs. They shop multiple carriers to give you the best rates. Plus, if you bundle car and home policies, there are even bigger discounts. It's time to lower those monthly bills, and Forum can help. Visit forumcu.com or stop by a branch location to learn more and to get an insurance quote today.
Turn it up, son.
Greg Hubler Chevrolet proudly presents Trace Adkins with special guests Lone Star, Diamond Rio, Big Country, and Rose O'Neal. Saturday, June 18th at the Morgan County Fairgrounds in Martinsville. Trace Adkins. Get your tickets now at hankfm.com. Trace Adkins with special guests Lone Star, Diamond Rio, Big Country, and Rose O'Neal. Saturday, June 18th at the Morgan County Fairgrounds. More info at hankfm.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. Mortgage interest rates have started to drop, but you need to get locked in today. And at thehomeloanexpert.com, our rates are over a quarter point lower than the national average. We don't just talk about low rates, we have them. Maybe you've been holding off on that cash out refinance. Don't wait any longer. Now's the time. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. Home with a 10-day closing guarantee.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hey, it's JMV for Indiana's best. Andy Moore Buick GMC, that's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. Into 2022, we go with a load of inventory. Your selection is enhanced. Your car buying experience, the absolute best. Talk to my good friend Eric Wilson. If you're looking for a new set of wheels in the new year, get it done at only one place. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell him I sent you. 131st and State Road 37. It's Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers.
You forget something?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be able to pick up Braden tonight after practice.
Oh, did something come up at work?
Nah, not even going to make it in today.
Why? What's going on?
Well, I'm coming up on some construction in about a quarter mile. I've already started ignoring the signs. In a minute, I'll force my way through traffic while texting. I'll pull the wheel a little too far and drive right through the barrels where I'm going to hit a few workers. One of them is going to get killed, so then I'm going to be arrested and charged with vehicular manslaughter.
No one plans on having an accident, but you can plan to avoid one. Read the signs. Slow down. Stay alert.
This is Ray Hobbs, business manager of Labor's Local 741. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Indiana's District Council of Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Join me tomorrow. Jason Benetti is going to join us. We'll talk about what's going on with the White Sox. Also, I got some Colts news for you you're going to want to hear. Join me tomorrow, noon to 3, right here.
The Ride with JMV.
I want savages on the field. I want to lead the league in broken ribs. I want to put people in the hospital legally, no hitting in the head. I want them to cry and be scared to play us.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Was that some Dan Campbell knee biting that was going on? I couldn't place exactly where that came from. 1075thefan.com is the podcast page where you can hear everything that we do on the program. And again, thank you to our 4 fantastic guests in the show today. Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files talked Pacers draft. Pacers had 6 different players they brought in for workouts. Again, these are guys that are probably more of the second-round pick variety that we were talking about. They have brought in several players for that potential first-round draft pick. As far as spot number 6 is concerned, we are now 8 days away from the NBA draft. Bob Herrig and Will Haskett joined us respectively to talk about the U.S. Open, to talk about LIV Golf, and what the effect will be on the PGA Tour. Again, U.S. Open is tomorrow, and there are 3 Indiana guys you can be cheering for. Now, 2 of them are guys that are much more, I'm not sure if they're household names on the PGA Tour. Maybe because of what's going on in the LIV Golf Tour, they might become more household names. But guys that we've talked about over the years. Patrick Rogers from Avon, that played at Stanford, has been kind of up and down in terms of his PGA Tour career. but he gets to play in the U.S. Open. I'm going to age myself by seeing how old. Patrick is still 29. Okay, good. I interviewed him as a high school golfer, so I feel younger knowing he's not turned 30 yet, that it's about to happen. Adam Schenk, South Knox High School, from Vincennes, from Purdue University. He has had a really solid year on the PGA Tour, and he gets to make his U.S. Open debut. Congratulations to him. The other player from this state might be a well-known name in Marion, where he grew up, but not a guy that you have heard much about playing professional golf. And against the wonderful nature of the U.S. Open, you can qualify your way in. His name is Eric Barnes. He's 34 years of age. He won on the Hooters Tour in 2011. He also won the Jamaica Open in 2020. I'm assuming that's on the Jamaican Golf Tour. I'm not quite sure. It says, and I'm reading this from like the USOpen.com bios. When he gets to sentence 3 of his bio, during the pandemic, the Indiana native took a side job at Publix, a grocery store chain in Florida, stocking shelves. He did that in the morning and kept his golf game sharp in the afternoon. We literally have a Kurt Warner story here. In all seriousness, best of luck to Eric Barnes. Again, born in Michigan, grew up in Marion. Congratulations to him for making the U.S. Open. And here's to getting a paycheck by making the cut this weekend. Eric, we'll be rooting for you. Even if I had never kind of heard of Eric until Eddie Garrison pointed him out when I said, hey, let's go through the U.S. Open roster and see who are the guys from the state of Indiana. And I go, well, there's 2. And he goes, there's a third guy somewhere. And he goes, Eric Barnes. And I go, oh. And I just explained to you everything I had to know about Eric Barnes. Again, JMV is back tomorrow. And for that, there was much rejoicing. That's a Monty Python line, by the way. So second one that we've referenced. I know you've got like 2 free hours at some point in time, Eduardo. Go watch that movie. It will be worth your while. And it will open you then up to watching like Life of Brian, and now for something completely different and everything else, from the Monty Python chain. Because nothing, makes you cooler as a young man in your mid-20s than watching movies that were, from like 1974 and beyond. But you'll get a good laugh out of it, and hopefully you will enjoy. We have also gotten to shameless self-promotion time on the program today. So after the day, I kind of go back to the full-time gig with ISC Sports Network. And that full-time gig tomorrow includes, playing golf in Brian Hammond's celebrity golf outing, benefiting Ascension St. Vincent hospitals and children's health causes in the greater Anderson area. That is a tournament that has literally raised millions of dollars for young people in need in Madison County. And I am thrilled to be able to go back and play that event for a second time. And because I know you care if I get heat exhaustion or not, the forecast actually looks a little bit better for tomorrow. Only 93 tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'm pretty much playing golf all day. I'll wear a lot of sunscreen, knowing I got to be on camera on both Friday and Saturday. So on Friday, I'll be doing the baseball state finals on Bally Sports Indiana and the IHSA Champions Network. 2A and 3A games. 2A game, the Centerville Bulldogs making their first state championship appearance against the Ileana Christian. I think they're the Vikings. Probably ought to know that by the time we get to Friday. I've been focused on the fact that they are in their second year as an IHSAA member. And if I say Ileana Christian, you're not from the region, although I know Dan is very specific as to what the region is. That would not be the region Emmets and Dyer. But it's a campus that 4 years ago moved from Lansing, Illinois to Dyer, Indiana. It moved 11 minutes away, and that included crossing a state line. So hence, Ileana, as in representing 2 states, Christian, got a pretty good baseball team. They're going to play in the 2A state championship, 5:30 from Victory Field on Friday night. The game after that one, I cannot wait to broadcast this one. Speaking of Dan Dockich, he played, I think you may know that Dan played baseball at IU too. Dan was a pretty good baseball player at Andrean High School. And the first year that Dave Pishker was the head coach at Andrean, believed it was Dan's senior year at Andrean High School. In the 42 years since that time, Dave Pishker's teams have won 30 sectionals. They have won 7 state championships. They go for an 8th Friday night at about 8:30, somewhere along there. And they will do so against a rebuffed Jesuit team that happens to have the top prospect in the state of Indiana in Andrew Dukanich, a young man that's committed to play at Vanderbilt, but all signs are pointing towards him being a first-round pick in the MLB draft. Latest mock that I saw had him somewhere around pick 35, and technically I think it counts to you're a first-round pick between like 30 and 40. There's like compensatory picks like we have in the National Football League. There's what's called the competitive balance round, and that pick number 35 is in competitive balance round A. And I say that because the latest MLB.com mock draft I saw had Andrew going number 35. By the way, the draft compensation for that slot, a crisp $2.2 million. Andrew Dukanich and Brebuff taking on Andrean. Phenomenal baseball game. Frankly, a quickly moving, low-scoring game is what I expect in that one on Friday night. I'm joined by my buddy Chris Walker. He and I will have the 2A and 3A coverage on Friday night. On Saturday night, the equally as talented, if not more so, duo of the All-Indiana State crew of Mark Janes and Brian Jennings. We'll have the 1A game between Tecumseh and Central Catholic, and then the 4A game between Cathedral and Penn. So the Fighting Kevin Bowens have a chance at a state championship in baseball. Again, that is Saturday night, and that doubleheader begins at 4:30. And again, Bally Sports Indiana will have all of those games. As far as what I am doing on Saturday night, would be the Indy 11. They'll be on the road against the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. First time the Indy 11 have played Colorado Springs, who happens to be the best team in the Western Conference. Indy has been off since last Wednesday. They're currently in the final playoff position in the East, but there again is like 21 games left to go. So there's a lot of ground to cover, and this begins a stretch for the Indy 11 where they play 5 likely playoff teams in a row. 2 of those involve lengthy Western trips. They're in Colorado this Saturday night. They're in San Diego the following Saturday night against San Diego Loyal, who is coached by American soccer legend Landon Donovan. We'll have the road telecast on Saturday night, late night on My Indy TV. 9 o'clock, Brad Hodder joins me. I'll also have soccer Saturday on Saturday morning, but let me give one more shameless plug, and again, it's for the Indy 11. It is for their women's soccer team. Because of doing the state finals, I will not be on the call. Kurt Darling from this here radio staff will have the call on ISC 11 Sports and Comcast 81. Indy 11 women take on their biggest rival, Racing Louisville. If Indy wins, they likely wrap up a playoff spot. You're not doing anything Friday night. You're not going to come down to Victory Field. Go to the great indoors of Grand Park and watch them in action. They are fantastic. Eddie's been great to hang with you for the last couple of days. Thanks to all of our great guests. And a quick word of encouragement to my friend Steve McClure, who's battling some health issues right now. Brother, we're praying for you. We're thinking about you. Keep fighting the good fight. John is back tomorrow.